Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Toy Duo team. We're here live. Roll the music.
When you have a plastic addiction and your shelves are overflowing, when you don't know what new is coming, but you fear you might miss out, just sit right back, just relax and watch you listen. The Toy Duo team brings you what you need. The toy news you didn't know you needed.
Welcome back to the Toy Duo team. We're here with Adam from the Nameless Toy Company, and he's going to tell us all about space zombies from Mars.
I did not see that coming. That was awesome.
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
What he did. I actually took one of your guys' promo pics, and I just stuck it into some AI video creator app or something like that. I've been trying to have a lot of fun with those, but eventually I'm just going to stop using them altogether because we talked about this on the show before, and it's like we just can't let AI take over.
Nope.
Yeah, that's a weird one, right? Because like it's fun and you can kind of throw it in like that, and it's quick and easy and painless. But you know, there is a real sort of danger of it sort of taking away, you know, some of the artistic merit of you know what some very, very skilled people are doing, right? So
yeah, like I can't wait to get a whole horde of zombies, so I can remake the Michael Jackson Thriller video.
Oh, that'd be sweet, right?
Photograph. I saw the best ever AI, like serious best ever AI little 10-second videos today, but we're not allowed to talk about the subject matter. But I was blown away by it, based on events that happened yesterday. It was just so funny.
Oh, was it? Do you think it was? Okay, I know what she's talking about because we don't have politics on here, but I actually think those were the two actors. I think those were actually the comedian guy who dresses up.
No, it was.
Anyways, that's what I think. All right. Anyways, I'll do a little introduction. I got your guys' card here. So you are the Nameless Toy Company. Did you create that just for this Kickstarter?
So the Nameless Toy Company is myself. I am highly articulated. My very humble, you know, low budget YouTube channel. And then Arlen Pelche, who is an amazing sculptor. He sculpted for Hasbro. He sculpted for Mezco. He sculpted for Fresh Monkey Fiction, to name a few. I mean, there's a lot more. And then Ira is his brother, and Ira did the lore for us. So that's it. That's the team. It's just a small team of West Coast Canadians that got together to make a pretty cool toy line.
Yeah, so I know that they are musically inclined because we're going to talk about the record and stuff like that. So I know there was some music. So I will not tell you that I used AI to create that.
Oh, you guys put a theme song for the toy line?
So there's actually a whole soundtrack, and it's
awesome.
And it's very much a soundtrack. Like think of like the music that you would hear in like a Christopher Nolan movie kind of thing. So this is like while you're playing with your toys, you can have this on in the background, and like it just adds like a soundscape to the toys. It's all original music done by Arlen and Ira. A lot of synthesizers and stuff. It's really, really cool.
Nice work.
We just got a video finished. So I don't know if anybody noticed or not. Nobody mentioned it, but like in the Kickstarter, we had a placeholder that said intro video, and I forgot to take it out before we launched because the video was getting sort of what's it called, like composited or whatever. Like it wasn't quite done, so I still have to enter that in, but I forgot to take that out. Nobody said anything.
I saw the placeholder and I was like, well.
But there's going to be a video, and it's going to have some of the music in there too, so that's going to be cool.
Okay, so I did see that there was going to be this record. Obviously, it's going to be a colored vinyl. Is the cover going to be like what Mondo would do with their covers, where it's like that kind of raised artwork or whatever, where they do, or is it just like going to be a regular
45?
No, it's a you know, it's a full 12-inch, you know, vinyl LP. It'll probably be, you know, an open, like I don't know what that's called. I don't collect.
Yeah, billboard. Yeah.
billfold,
Yeah.
cover. That's kind of Ira and Arlen. That's kind of their baby. They're absolutely like in love with the soundtrack and sort of the whole idea of it. So I'm kind of a little bit hands off on that. It will be colored vinyl, but the colored vinyl is not finalized. Arlen did purple as sort of a render just to sort of show people that it won't be just standard black. We haven't 100% decided on the color. We may actually do like a poll. Once the Kickstarter is done, we may do a poll and let people vote on what color they would like the vinyl to be. The pressing that we're going to do for the Kickstarter is going to be a limited release. So we're basically going to have, anybody that backs and sort of chooses the record as one of the rewards will get the colored vinyl. And then if we do a second pressing, it might just be a black one. So
you should do
colored vinyl.
Make it look like Mars.
Do green. You should
Maybe.
do green. Do green and then have it blood dripping from the top.
Oh yeah.
Both of those
Multicolored. Now you're
suggestions
pushing the
are
color.
in consideration. So yeah, there's absolutely like we want it to be fun, right?
Right.
As I said, I'm not somebody that like I used to collect vinyl, in what feels like a previous life before I had children. But kids and record players, it doesn't really go very well. So I'm excited to get this, but I think for collectors, even if you don't have a record player, getting a cool sort of limited edition version of it is kind of just fun. If you're all in on the line. So
I think it'd be cool if it was like a brain.
Like a brain.
I mean, you can do anything. That's the crazy thing with records, right? Is that like you can do any color, you can do graphics, you can do. So it depends on two things: how many people back the record, and what people want. So that's sort of where we're at. Like I said, purple. A lot of people were like, "Oh, we're getting purple vinyl. That's awesome," and we were sort of like, "Oh, we didn't anticipate that's people would go, oh, purple, cool." So we're, that's an option, but so is, for it to look more like Mars or for it to look like the zombies and sort of have blood splatter on it, or to have a graphic. It's, gore
or both
and guts and whatever.
Mars with blood on it.
Mars bleeding. Have Mars, but bleeding. There you
I
go.
think Vern and Dino actually still have their phonographs from when they were kids in the 1940s.
Like I got probably like
Way to
4
wind
record
them up.
players. I probably have 4 record players throughout. I got
Do you really?
stored away, right? Like I have one of those Crossley ones sitting up on a table, but I have like some pretty nice ones sit away. I got those like floor speakers from like the 70s and stuff like that. And
you got to get the tube speakers. You got to get the tube amp. Like if you want this thing to like really work, like, and so that again, like I said, I got 3 kids under 10. There's nowhere in my house that's safe to have those.
No jumping.
Maybe one day.
London Drugs, because you're in BC. London Drugs, they got a whole section of record players and
they got
vinyl
decent
now,
stuff.
and it's making a push at a big comeback.
The only one we have in the place is a cylinder, and it's got that giant thing that
megaphone.
the big megaphone.
where you put the needle down and you got to crank it, John.
You got to wind it up.
and you got to crank
barrel.
it. Yeah. It's from like 1820 or something.
Oh my god!
My dad's. It's my dad's antique. That's the only thing we have.
That's cool.
That's cool though.
Let me say hi to some people in the chat before we get going. We got Mr. B here. Same time toys. Gary's Grills. You got Jonathan Redmond. They gone. I went through some of these, but I didn't say who they were. Mod Extras here saying hello. Let's see. David R is here. Jumping McClunky saying hi. And Storyteller.
Isn't Mars purple?
I love that comment.
Wrong universe. All right.
Look at that. It calls us suckers all the time.
One sec, Vern. Did you say who did the artwork on the album cover?
That's Arlen that did that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's very comic booky. I like it.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a comic book as well. And Arlen did, the cover, and he's done some of the pages. Again, depending on funding and stuff like that, and time. Either Arlen will do the rest of the book, or we have a few sort of artists that we might reach out to. Again, keeping it kind of Canadian. There's actually a short list of Canadians that we're seriously thinking about reaching out to. So, but stay tuned on that. We probably won't have that sort of announcement during the Kickstarter. That'll be something we announce afterwards.
Now, so you're only opening up that to Canadians?
Yep.
Okay. I'm just messing around.
Are there lyrics on the album, or is it just a soundtrack?
There's sort of like, so it sort of plays into the lore. So there's actually some vocals on it, but it's more like spoken word stuff than like lyrics. There's one track that has lyrics, which is pretty fun. And
What
it's
if you
part of
play
the
it
lore as well.
backwards?
So
If you play it backwards, does it?
Come on.
it'll just sound backwards.
It'll
Yeah.
just-
Oh, it's all heavenly music. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's show off some of these characters that you got, so we can start talking about it. And I'll pull up the Kickstarter because it looks like it's off to a pretty good start.
Hey, wait a minute. We're not doing pickups? I'm out of here.
no.
I guess.
Axing a lot of that stuff. So we got pretty standard space suited characters here. And I heard you on another stream talking about if you want more bucks, you need to give us more bucks, which I
Bucks
thought
for
was
bucks, man.
which I thought was hilarious.
It ain't cheap.
Yeah.
So the funding goal literally pays to get these things made. We won't make anything off of the Kickstarter at all. We didn't budget that in. We just want to make these toys. So when people are like, oh, you've got male and female astronauts, shouldn't the female astronaut, be on a different buck? And as much as we would have loved that, two things. One, have you seen women in astronaut suits?
Outfits,
they
right.
look the same. It's a big chunky suit.
No, good point.
And two, it just costs too much. We're not opposed to making a female buck. However, how many toy lines don't even have female head sculpts to start their line, right? You're getting multiple different unique female head sculpts right away. So I think we found sort of a happy medium for people that complain that there's not enough female figures, and sort of finance wise what we can do with that. I think it works, right? Like a female astronaut. The reality is, and I looked this up because I was curious. Going back to the 60s, astronaut suits were custom made. So every astronaut had their own suit. And then there was a period where there was basically small, medium, large, but they were effectively the same. And currently there is one size of astronaut suit. And it's modular, and they just sort of, piece it together per astronaut. So, so it's not, it's not sort of inaccurate to the real world either.
Does Julia come with a camera and is that a heart?
No, it's
Little piece
some
of
little
lung?
red some Mars rocks.
Oh, it's a red Mars rock? Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. I thought maybe it was a lung or a heart or something.
No, a couple of people said that, and that would have been on brand. But yeah, she's a science officer.
Brains.
Like she's a, she's into rocks. So it's red rocks for her collection.
All right,
So
so
just to confirm, they all come with a Canadian flag insignia on the sleeve, right?
They don't.
now you know
It's
what would have been
extra
perfect
stickers.
for this?
We
If you would've-
left that out of there. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe what are they called?
Deep stretch goal.
maybe
The stickers, water slide decals. Maybe we could do a run of water slide decals that would fit. But we'll see.
maybe the ultimate stretch goal should have been the Canada arm that they put in the space.
Yeah, just the whole arm.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
1/12 scale International Space Station. That would have been. Yeah, can you imagine? Oh my
Because
goodness,
Adam knows our GI Joe toys in Canada all came with Canada flags on them.
they did. Yeah,
as different than the American ones. So
All right, so these are your standard kind of 1/12 scale, which will work with your GI Joe Classified, maybe your Marvel Legends or whatever. So they're like right around that size. I can see that you got like the astronaut alternate head, helmet, accessories, and then the blacked out areas.
Mhm.
So do you want to explain what those blacked out areas are?
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as what you don't see there, that's just sort of blacked out. We have stretch goals built into the Kickstarter campaign that will unlock more pack-ins for the figures. So what is colored there? So where you see like the white astronaut and then the white hands and the backpack, everything that you can see and sort of make out is included in the initial offering. But then with the stretch goals, you get more stuff. So we have an additional hands pack-in that unlocks, I think it's like the third unlock. So you get those 6 more hands, and then there's another additional unlock that will give you sort of more parts. And I've said this multiple times, and as soon as we get to reveal them, which I hope is sooner rather than later, you people will, I think, confirm this. But the most fun stuff that we're doing in this line is sort of in those shadowed parts.
Okay, and I'm guessing by this, obviously there's an arm and there's a leg, right? So
Yep.
I'm looking at like a zombie arm, zombie leg. Are these going to be designed to where that lower half of the leg kind of easily comes off without me having to heat it up or do something like that to be able to make that swap?
That is the idea. So it'll still have sort of like a mushroom shaped peg. So there's still going to be enough tension that it's not just going to fall off. But if you sort of look again, I'll use the white astronaut there that has the red band on the leg and the red band on the arm. That's effectively the connection point, where the arms and or legs are effectively interchangeable. Heating them up is probably going to be the way to do it, because then you're not going to like wear the parts out as quickly. But it's probably, hot tap water would probably be enough, rather than like, you don't need to like boil it. And, it's not gonna be like a Marvel Legends where it's not designed to come apart and you have to like really do some work. But,
And is that a beard I see on the blue one, or is that still secret?
It's not a beard.
It's the chin strap, right?
But it is secret. No, he's talking about the shadowed part.
Yeah, it looks like a beard.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's probably like some sort of a sucker creature stuck on your face or something.
I know exactly what it is. I actually have it next to me.
Oh,
the part next to me.
Wow. I'll just put you on full screen. All right, Jonathan is saying like, wouldn't showing the extra unlock stuff be an incentive? And I'm guessing that maybe like the first unlock is shown, and then you'll reveal what the other unlocks get once each unlock happens.
To answer Jonathan's question directly, I don't know. But isn't this more fun to have people speculate for a while? I mean, this is day one. We're not worried, yet about it backing. We can always show this stuff if we want to. What I will say is a lot of this stuff has been shown. It's been, either on convention tables or it's been in Instagram posts or what have you. And it's kind of funny for us because people are just starting to make connections between like what's shadowed and like other pictures that we have. And like, if you compare, something to something that you have something, if you look at that leg, right, with Julia Stryker, and you compare it to other legs that are out there, you can figure out what it is.
Like last week, I showed the picture of the model you had with the blast in the face. And that was obviously one of the shadowed pieces, right?
Exactly.
So we showed
we're not trying to like hide anything as such. We're trying to make it so that people talk about what they don't see and try to speculate. Like the intention is to get people to talk about it and to get people to ask about it, because we are going to eventually show it, right? But right now, let's just have people guess.
Yeah, Mod Extra wants the ukulele playing astronaut dressed in orange.
It's for sure Mr. T Head Vern, I can tell.
Probably, right? Okay, yeah. So he's also saying that Arlen has a bunch of stuff on his workshop desk. All you got to do is look at the pictures.
Yeah.
I agree with you though, because when they did that HasLab Dragonfly, they slowly gave you clues to what the next figure was potentially going to be, and there was a whole lot of speculation and build up around that. So I totally get that.
The other thing too that we've kind of baked in here is that the funding goal is set at 120,000, but all the stretch goals are done at 170,000. So with roughly, just because of exchange rate, which is a pain in the butt, because we had to do it in Canadian dollars, so the numbers didn't line up the way we wanted them to. But effectively, most of the stretch goals are about $5,000. So once we start unlocking stretch goals, I think the stretch goals will kind of like fall really quick, and so I don't think it's going to take long before you see everything that's in these pictures either. So like you said, it's just kind of fun, and hopefully it just gets people talking. And we could have done it with no stretch goals and just put the funding goal at 175,000. But that wouldn't have been as fun.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's a lot of fun to try to figure out what everything is in there and where it comes from. Like this is the green, the military guy. You can see the splattered face. That's what I was talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, we've had that on the table at lots of conventions and stuff like that. And I've heard people speculate on what that is and be completely wrong, which is interesting to me because it's out there, right?
Yeah.
It's Medusa's head, right?
Yeah, Medusa.
Medusa's
It looks
head.
just like Dino's leg.
It could
So
be.
the
Who
helmet,
knows?
am I correct in assuming the helmet will go over the head? It's not a replaceable. You don't have
It's
to pop this head off and then pop the helmet on.
No,
right?
you will pop the head off, and then the helmet's actually two pieces. So
okay.
Cool.
we would have either had to make it much bigger to fit over the head, or do it in two pieces. So it basically pops in two. You'll pop. I think you have to pop the head off, but you put the base on, and then you put the other piece over, and the mask will actually open and close.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Like front and back of the helmet kind of thing.
Top and bottom. I actually have
Okay.
one here. Hold on. Let
Hi.
me just dig it out. I have it in my blue astronaut.
Look at that. It
Paint
looks like
master.
Perfect. Yeah. Everybody has those containers.
No,
I would
just to
probably
confirm,
end up
all,
throwing that in the microwave and then eating it accidentally.
Yeah.
all of the human faces are actual sculpts of yours and your two business partners' faces, right?
No, none of them are.
Why not?
Because we're Canadian and we just don't work that way. We just don't. I don't know. I don't.
They'd be too good looking, I guess.
They all be too handsome, and people will be like, "These are unrealistic sculpts."
I would have secretly,
These guys would never go to Mars.
I would have
Europeans can't
secretly
go to Mars?
chosen people from my childhood guys I went to high school with or stuff like that.
Arlen picked like most of them have reference points, and one of them is from like an old Fisher Price toy, and one of them is from Centurions, and one of them so they're like they're kind of cool, like little nods to like other older toys. So that's the base of the helmet.
Okay.
And then the second piece, so it's split, and then it just sort of pops together, and there's a little seam on the back, which will look nicer in production, obviously, but you'll have a seam, and so the seam is kind of sculpted in there to look like it should be there. Yeah. So it actually, Arlen is,
and then the visor opens. He said, right?
And then the visor opens. Yeah, this one I'm not. It's a sample. I don't want to break it before.
And the visor will be a transparent.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a smoked transparent lens, and then with the retro astronaut, the Spike Spectre, it's a clear fishbowl.
Okay.
Do you remember robotics?
I saw pictures
Those
of both.
guys with the visor would open. Yeah.
Okay, so these are in Canadian dollars. And I was looking at it. This is going to be about $40 US for one of these characters.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So on that note, as I said, we're based in Canada, so the way that Kickstarter works, for anybody that isn't aware, is basically whatever address your bank is, whatever country that bank is in, that's the currency that they make you run your Kickstarter in. Even though we have a US dollar account for the business, and we're going to have to pay all of our bills in US dollars.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you're going to have to pay the manufacturer
exactly.
in US dollars, even though that manufacturer is not in the US.
No, exactly.
Which I've never
that's the way
understood.
it works.
I've been dealing with manufacturers overseas for like 10 years now, from Canada, from China to Canada, and they bill me. I have to pay them in US dollars. It's just, I don't, it makes no sense, but that's how it works with that particular country.
That's the way the business world operates, unfortunately. Yeah. So we have to run it in Canadian dollars. But we did all of our budgeting and all of our price forecasting in US dollars. So I had to kind of set a Canadian price that when it was converted was $40 for the astronauts. And I think it's pretty close to $40, which I'm very happy with. And then the zombies are like 27, I think. I've been a while since I set that pricing, but yeah, so the astronauts are $40, which I think, you know, for what you get there is a pretty fair offering for an independent toy company. I think once we unlock everything and you get all that stuff, you know, I think that's a really good value for $40.
So
What
I'm
color you
looking.
like, Vern?
Well, I'm trying to look at these accessories on the side, and I'm like trying to imagine, are those all going to work together with some other piece or something like that, or are they just individualized for the characters?
Most of them are pretty individualized for the characters based on, you know, who they are, right? The engineer comes with a drill. The military guy comes with
Okay.
some firearms. You know, the medical guy comes with a book and a like a bones saw, I guess. I don't know.
Nice.
That one's a little bit. That's a little, you know.
Well, you got to decapitate your zombie head if you want
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Oh, is that like a little medical symbol on the white backpack?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's what I was mistaken as, like a maple leaf.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. No, they all have their like faction logos
Gotcha.
on their backpacks.
Yeah, the
And then the-
symbols in the lower right corner. You see
Okay,
it
okay.
that's up on the
I'm
figure.
just
You
not
see it
full
match
screen
up.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which color you like, Vern? I kind of like that green and that red one.
Well, this is one of those
Just 'cause they're
situations
different.
where you probably just have to get all of them.
You gotta get 4. Is there a
Yeah.
secret 5th black one that you haven't shown us yet?
Well, there's another character, right? And
There's a red. There's a red.
there's
one.
a red one, but I didn't pull him up yet. I wanted to pull these. Oh, it left some in the background. These are the zombies characters in the same colors.
Yeah,
So
those look great.
these are individual though, right? Like you will buy these. You can buy these separately.
Yeah, you can buy, you know, either one zombie or, you know, you get better price point if you get 2, and then an even better price point if you get 4. And then if you go all in, it's sort of the best price for you know, each individual item respectively. But yeah, these are available separately. So, you know, if you don't necessarily want astronauts, but you just love zombies, you know, you can absolutely just get the zombies. And these are a little bit more, you know, pared down. So these don't come with the backpack, you know, or
Okay.
you know, as much stuff. So if you want just a zombie horde, as I said, I think these are $27 if you buy one, and then if you buy more than one, you're getting. I kind of worked it out, so it's about $1 off, you know,
Right.
for every sort of jump in sort of reward tier. So I think they're like, you know, down to like 22 or something like that if you buy enough of them, basically.
Yeah, we'll pull up the Kickstarter in a minute. And I did.
Yeah, I
put a
can't
link-
remember any of the numbers.
I did put the Kickstarter link at the top. I pinned it to the top if anybody's interested in heading over there and checking out that Kickstarter also.
It's a good way to do it, Adam. Like you're utilizing, you know, your main buck, you
Mhm.
know, for your actual your 6-inch scale figure, and you're kind of teasing the extra heads, which may or may not be these heads here, but to also make these individual figures without the extra bits and pieces, like the extra human hands and human heads at a discounted price. It kind of shows the collectors, the potential backers, that you really are intending to produce the parts, like the heads, the back.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think that shows. I think by us seeing us see these right now and know that there's going to be other options to just buying that one, you know, $40 white
Yeah.
astronaut, or you buy a white astronaut and a green zombie guy. You know, I like the way you set it up.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned this, and I always kind of fail to mention this, but like there's the shadowed heads with the astronauts. There's actually shadowed heads with the zombies as well. With the zombies, in some cases, it's like repeats of some of the heads that you've got. I think the astronauts all come with new, unique heads that aren't in with the zombies. Like you're not gonna get much overlap if you get you get everything. Like we don't have like 4 sculpts for the heads, and you're gonna get them 10 times. You know, most of the time you're gonna max out at about 2, I think, for some of the zombie heads. But there's a lot of like,
because these 4 are different, right? Or is there? I saw 3 different zombie heads there.
Yeah, there's 3
human heads. Where there's 4 as well, wasn't there?
So there's 3. Yeah, so there's 3 different heads there, and those are kind of our standard zombie heads. But there are 1, 2, 3, There's a lot more heads that haven't been shown.
Fantastic.
I'm literally, I can't really show it, but that's all heads.
Wow.
And
Heads
they're
are the
all
best.
unique heads.
Hmm.
That's the back, so you didn't see, too much there.
Vern loves all the heads.
I do a lot of head swap. I'm curious about the heads. Are they static, or is there any movement in the head with like the biting? Is there a biting motion?
So in the case of that skeleton, what we're calling the Prometheus head, there is articulation in the jaw. Hold on,
Yeah.
I have
Wow.
another one. That one's a little bit stiff because it's brand new, but this one you can
Oh
see.
yeah,
That's
there
what
you
I'm
go.
Wow, that's really
Oh,
cool.
cool.
And as a little
Awesome.
teaser, I will tell you that this jawbone is used in, I believe, 2 other heads.
Wow.
Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think I can see it in the blackout, right? Thought I saw the
Yes,
jawbone.
yes, exactly. That's like we're not trying to hide anything. We're trying to make people kind of
Right there.
guess what they might
Oh,
be
yeah.
getting. So that
Yep.
Georgia McBride head is not the same skull, but it is, you do see that
Okay.
kind of
Cool.
U-shaped
With the lower
piece
jaw.
there.
Yeah.
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 I think that's awesome, because for somebody who dabbles in stop motion, I think that's going to
Yeah.
be like really cool to be able to use.
Yeah, so with the zombies, sculpt wise, it didn't make sense. The head would have been like really awkward looking, and it would have had like weird big cheeks in order to get that articulation. So we give you the closed mouth and the open mouth. And like I said,
it works.
there
It works
are
good.
more heads that we haven't even shown yet. So you're gonna have options.
All right.
Cool. You know what we did for you, Adam? So before the show, I was looking at your Kickstarter, and you weren't over 100 yet, and now you're at 104.
Nice. I
Nice.
So
appreciate
everybody
that.
in the chat, they jumped on and got on board. So
That's awesome. And that's
pushed you over 100.
and I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you guys reaching out and asking us to be on, because to be perfectly honest, like, as anybody that's run a Kickstarter knows, the hardest thing is to get people to just go to the Kickstarter and check it out. And like, as much as, when you're inside the bubble and you're hearing from people like, these are awesome, like everybody's going to want these. We're like, oh yeah, that may be true, but like that won't work if the word doesn't get out. And
Yeah.
and we only know so many people, but you guys know other people. And then the next video that I do, maybe they'll know other people. And it's, I sent posts out to like my extended family, like cousins that I haven't spoken to in 10 years. I'm like, if you know any nerds, please share this with them. Like, because I don't know everybody, and we don't presume to know everybody. So it's that's awesome. And I love hearing that. I love seeing the little bumps, when something gets posted or somebody shares a post, and it's like, yeah, it's cool.
Look, I got to tell you, Mod Extra right here. I don't know if you he has a YouTube channel. He did a great video on your
He did. That was
yeah.
And I will say that I don't know that I messaged him and said this. He was like bang on with some of his predictions for what's like shadowed. He was also completely wrong about others, but that's bound to happen. So
now this one's cool because it looks like he has more of like a fishbowl helmet. That's pretty neat. I like that. It goes back to the old sci-fi stuff.
So I'll tell you, like, so my early speculation before I got to say I watch you guys live, so I kind of know the backstory, right? A little bit. Yeah. But before I saw any of that, so I think I said something like, wouldn't it be cool if like there was a colony that went to Mars, and somehow when the second group arrived, they were like the guys that were supposed to set everything up, and then by the time the second group arrived, like everybody was zombies or something like that, and then it was like fight for survival. And then I guess it's kind of like that, but it's spread out a little bit. But this guy being like retro, right? I would think is probably from the first group. And my guess is that maybe it wasn't like an infection that happened on Mars. Maybe it was something this guy caused. That's kind of where I'm leaning, right? Like,
well, look at that mask down at the bottom.
You are
a low gray hat.
You're a lot of the way there with that, with those guesses. What I can share is that Spiked Spectre was the leader of the first Red Dust mission that launched in the late 60s. To at some point on the journey, the connection was lost, and nobody knows what happened to the first mission.
That's why he's got a cool retro style space gun too.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like a flash-forwarded gun because he's the older one. Yeah.
Yeah, so he he left this version of Earth, in the late 60s, space race type era, but through the lens, of course, of like 50s pulp sci-fi, which is why the jetpack looks like that and the fishbowl helmet looks like that, and the little laser, gun looks like that. And then Red Dust 2 is the second mission to Mars, and that's the one that is basically the sort of the premise for the whole Kickstarter. All the other astronauts are part of Red Dust 2 mission, and that mission launches sometime in the 90s in our universe. And I say our universe because it's familiar to us, but it takes things from 50s and 60s pulp sci-fi, and it takes things from like 90s sci-fi and 80s sci-fi, and sort of assumes that they weren't sci-fi, assumes that they were part of like science fact in this world.
Yeah,
so you get zombies and you get missions to Mars and you get laser guns, but it still feels pretty familiar, and it still feels like things that you've known for years. There's nostalgia kind of baked in, but it's not something that even the zombies are while they look and sort of function like zombies the way we've seen them through Romero and stuff like that, slow moving, after human flesh, their origin story is different, and I will say that it does have to do with Mars. And I will point out one more thing, because this is one of my favorite things. And again, this is sort of the type of thing that is a little bit more different, a little bit more fun than just doing astronauts and zombies, like the extra layers. That little mask in the bottom there, or what I thought was a mask, and Arlen and Ira wouldn't even tell me what it was till I got the Paint Master in hand. It's not just a mask. So it's kind of like bone and blood teeth. It's actually a helmet. And so that will actually
Chief Chirpa style, yeah.
And you can see, if I angle it just right, that there's actually holes for the eyes. So this will fit on Spike Spector's head, and you'll actually be able to see his eyes through the eye holes there. And then there's these sort of gloss, hose things on the side. So it's clearly like somebody's crafted this, and it clearly does something, but you'll have to stay tuned for more of the lore as far as what does the crown do? What does that sort of crown helmet mask do? What is its purpose?
Master of zombies, and he can control their minds.
Now,
maybe.
Now, can he wear that mask and the helmet at the same time?
I'm going to say no. I don't think so. There's not.
That
yeah,
spike might get in the way.
The spike would be too tall. Yeah.
Can the zombie wear the mask?
Some of them would be able to, for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
it'll fit a few different heads that I know of. I haven't actually physically forced it onto any yet, because I haven't photographed the Paint Masters yet, and I don't want to like scuff them all up and like send shitty Paint Masters to China, and they'll be like, "Okay, this looks like garbage. We'll make it exactly how you sent it to us." But
yeah, you want to do that.
So he gets like the retro, styling, which I absolutely love. I've never been a big fan of like red and black designs, whether it's for action figures or anything that is design. I've always found that like red and black is really simple and basic, and it's played out and it's done. But when you're talking about a character from the 60s who is like the prototypical stereotype of a villain, and you look at this red and black suit, you couldn't do it in any other color. Like it had to be red and black. So I absolutely love this figure, despite my personal sort of distaste for black and red figures. So Arlen won me over with this one. So everybody says that, Jonathan Redmond. Everybody says that. They're like, "What do you mean?" I just think there's so many colors in the rainbow that like, why is there so many black and red figures? And I know why, because it's easy and it's like it works, right? You can.
Well, they work well together.
They work well together. You can't get it wrong. It's not my personal taste. But this thing
Michael Jackson color.
I mean, that's
Thriller.
or the Eddie Murphy color.
Yeah.
He wore the
yeah.
suit.
Eddie Murphy
jacket.
Raw, right?
That's a bonus tier. So I noticed you're calling this one retro. Does that mean you're going to package this one on a retro card back, and the others will be in a box?
You know what? We've had a few people ask about packaging, and we haven't. You know, I open everything, and Arlen's a sculptor, and so we're so focused on the actual toys.
Let's talk afterwards.
Well, Rick will give you his business card at the end of the show.
But
no, absolutely. I mean,
I'm going to recommend another artist that I think would kill your box art.
Yeah, by all means. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're open. We don't have any of that finalized yet, and we're happy to sort of take input from people because, like I said, I open everything, so I kind of like, well, I don't know what people want. I want the toys.
A card back that you can actually put back in.
Yeah, collector's friendly card back where it's like the full plastic and then a sleeve. It kind of like Mythic Legions or you know, some other brands.
And Gentle Giant do it, yeah.
Yeah, and Arlen's done that too with the Fresh Funky Fiction Naughty or Nice line. The little 5 POA figures come on a card back like that. So that's a really good call actually for these two figures specifically to have them on a like a.
I am smarter than I look, and that Vern gives me.
All right, I won't say anything.
So today is the official day one on the Kickstarter, correct?
Yeah.
Sort of.
They tricked everybody.
Yeah.
I was looking for Nameless Toy Company on Facebook, and I don't see one.
Yesterday was March 1st in Canada.
Yeah. You're on Instagram, right? At the toy company?
We're on Instagram. Just because we're such a small team and we're so busy, like we honestly haven't done the Facebook thing yet.
But you're okay if we share this on Facebook?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I posted it, you know, personally, I posted this anywhere that I could think of, anywhere that I didn't think it was going to get deleted by, you know, admins and groups and stuff like that. I'll probably try to sneak it into the Mythic Legions cabal, just get it deleted immediately, and you know, just because I want it out there everywhere. So yeah, share it anywhere and everywhere.
I'll get you some Facebook traction.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, formerly Twitter. What's it called? X. I don't.
Yeah, it's Twitter.
Yeah, but you know, anywhere. If you want to put a sign, you know, out on your front lawn, like it's like a campaign thing, you know, go right ahead and do that. We're happy, you know, for that too. But yeah, we would love for people to share it anywhere and everywhere. Take whatever you want from the Instagram, cut and paste, do what you want with it. Yeah, we won't be offended if you share it.
All right. We talked about the record earlier. So
that's awesome.
I found these.
Yeah,
these were like a while ago. Was there like a different title in mind?
So Arlen's been kind of working on this for years. Like this is his kind of like his pet project, like and it was this, right? It was the skull, you know, the sort of fleshless skull face inside a cracked mask on an astronaut floating, you know, in space indefinitely, right? Just lost in space, and just sort of the despair of that. And initially he had just called it Zombified and didn't really know what to do with it. But then, you know, as the lore came together, as the soundtrack came together, Space Zombies from Mars became the working title, and it just sort of stuck. But Zombified was sort of his initial, and Zombified might come up again in the future. I'll use this as a good segue to say, excuse me, that while we're doing Space Zombies from Mars now, this isn't the end of the Nameless universe. Like there's a past and a future that goes with this, you know, moment in time. And so, you know, there's other toy lines that we want to do. You know, we can reuse this buck, but we have other bucks that we want to make as well. So this is just sort of the first step. So when people are asking like, oh, will you do this figure? Would you do this kind of a character? Would you do this? The answer is we've considered a lot of things, but we wanted the Kickstarter to be really nice and tight, and you know, for the lore to be tight, and for the sort of mission for this one to just be astronauts and zombies.
Okay. Badass. I like this one a lot.
Yeah,
this one's really cool.
right, so these are just some pictures. I saw this was like looks like a really early render of just the zombie body type thing.
Yeah,
I'm
pay no
guessing.
attention to that
Okay. Nobody look.
for
It was
now.
on, it was on Instagram.
For now,
Big
yeah.
guy underwear on.
Yeah. This was obviously early prototype, and then here is that picture that was on the table with the splattered head. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I actually have all of those figures in my office here. Those are the first two paint masters for Guy Garrison and the military zombie, and then just some post prototype, just grayscale 3D printed figures for some of the other parts. Like he's got the retro, chest harness piece, and then that's that retro.
Is that an add-on chest piece from that red? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So so when you're sort of looking at those, the chest piece and then the belt is an overlay, like a secondary piece. So the base body has full articulation, and even with the overlay, Arlen did a really, really good job of making sure that all the articulation works. So the figures have butterfly joints in the shoulders. There's articulation at the diaphragm and then at the waist as well. So like two ball joints, no ab crunch. So they move really well. Double jointed elbows and knees, full articulation with boot cuts, bicep swivel, the rocker on the ankle, like everything you kind of expect from a well articulated 6-inch scaled figure.
I like the use of the overlays too. That's nice work.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some conversation in the chat about like wouldn't a person just freeze immediately once the helmet got cracked? Like they're speculating about like when you pop out in space. And I remember this movie called Outland. So I'm pretty sure if your spacesuit breaks, you just blow up.
Princess Leia didn't.
Common misconception: you don't blow up because there's actually no pressure.
Reverse
in space.
Pressure. Oh, yeah.
I think you would get cold.
You would freeze. Yeah, you'd freeze before anything. You would actually, depending on where you were, you would either freeze or you would suffocate, one or the other.
Michio Kaku and Neil deGrasse Tyson insist that you would boil in space.
Yeah,
because there's zero pressure, your blood would instantly come to a boiling point.
Well, so my understanding, and I am by no means a scientist, I just play one when I do these videos. It depends where you would be, because if space is either really hot or really cold, there's kind of like no filters for the temperature. So if you're exposed to enough sun, you'd be extremely hot, and if you're exposed to no sun, you'd be cold. But there's also no air, so really you're going to die one way or the other. You're going to suffocate if you don't boil or freeze.
I just think the conversation is funny because
it doesn't really matter. But I
want everybody to see the 5 scientists with PhDs.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you get bitten by a zombie first before
debating.
Your helmet comes off in space, then you'll survive.
And Dean's like, "What are you talking about?
Unless you're Princess Leia, then you can. It didn't matter.
That's right.
Yeah, you can just.
Yeah, if you use the Force, you're fine. But I mean, in our universe, we get to pick the rules. So I don't know. It doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like these are action figures.
Yeah, but as far as the masks breaking and things like that, they're let's assume that they're inside structures or things like that. But also, if you're a zombie, you don't need to breathe, and I don't know that temperature is really that big of a concern either. So,
yeah,
right. So I did grab this. This is kind of like a shadow of pretty much everything that's kind of available. Yeah. So this is, if everything unlocks, and then we didn't put the head pack in here because it would have looked weird and not fit very well. But yeah, if we unlock everything, we're gonna have this sort of bundle, this all-in bundle called All Systems Go, for about $345, $350 US. The price is actually 500 Canadian. So when we unlock everything, whatever that price is in US dollars, based on $500, will be the price. But we didn't unlock it because I learned from Animal Wars of the Kingdom, if you put an all-in with all your unlocks, people get confused and they're like, well, what if they don't unlock? How does that? So we're not going to put it out there. What I've been saying to people is, if you want this, if you think you're going to want, this sort of all-in bundle, back for, $345 or $350 US,
get a reward tier and then put add-ons in there so that your pledge looks like $350. And then when we get unlocked, you basically just go in and change your pledge to this tier. This is the best value if you want everything. It'll be the best price to get everything. It'll be the better value than if you were to sort of like pick the items yourself. But it is a true all-in in the sense that there will be no substitutions with this. It'll be one of everything. And so, like you said, if you can't pick which color of astronaut or which color of zombie, this is the easiest way to go about getting, one of everything.
I've never done any kind of a crowdfunding Kickstarter type deal. How would you go about, or would someone like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, I just use them as the major examples, reach out to a company like yourselves, the No Name Toy Company, or would your company maybe reach out to them and say, hey, we want to do this fancy pink space astro, zombie guy. Would you be in for 1,000? Or like, is that kind of how that would work? Or would, like, who would contact who when it's a smaller name company like what you yourselves have going on?
To do an exclusive, you're saying, right?
I guess so, because I know a lot of these, and maybe you already did it with the Beast Kingdom and you already have your answer, but I mean, in most cases, who would be doing the contacting? The retailer, the reseller, or would the smaller Kickstarter type company reach out to one of those stores to help boost, and get a good 1,000 confirmed sales on a backing like that?
That is a very good question. And the answer is that from what I've seen, and I was very much involved in the last Animal Warriors of the Kingdom campaign for Primal Series 2, but I was involved with a couple other friends as well, just, in a smaller capacity. And I've seen a whole bunch of Kickstarters by, people that I know or people that I've sort of been in contact with, where very often they launch the Kickstarter and then those retailers reach out to them or just back the Kickstarter and just basically buy during the Kickstarter period. And retailers typically are going to ask for, wholesale pricing on volume buying.
That's why I thought it was
the issue with that is that Kickstarter is already taking, 10 or 12% off the top. So for every dollar, you're only making, 87, 88 cents kind of thing. And then to have a retailer come in and say, okay, I want, another 30 points off of retail for my price or whatever it is, and everybody's arrangement's going to be different or whatever. But then you're really not making any, like, you might be losing money almost on units if you haven't done your math right that way. But
so wait till you get those backing numbers and more, or maybe till it's produced before you maybe make a deal with someone like that.
Well,
so
we were in
maybe a mark, that point range where they can make it profitable for them.
I think it's tough, and I think having retailers back your Kickstarter is not the way to do it. I think having retailers, buy into the line after the Kickstarter makes more sense from a margin perspective if you're going to go that route. We were a little bit lucky in that Arlen has worked with lots of brands and knows, the guys at Big Bad Toy Store and a couple other retailers. And I know a couple retailers just because of Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. What I actually did is I reached out to retailers that I thought would be interested before the Kickstarter. And I said, hey, we're going to launch this Kickstarter March 1st. Would you be interested in this? And if so, would you be interested in effectively doing a like pre-order? Could you tell me how many units you think you would want and how much you would sort of be willing to sort of commit to financially before we launch? And I will take that off of our funding. So our funding goal is every dollar that we need to make from the Kickstarter in order to make these. And assuming we clear that funding goal, online retailers will basically do their pre-orders on April 1st and sort of fill in the remaining funding for us.
Makes sense.
And that means two things. That means that we can, we're going to wait a few days. I want this to sort of organically grow a little bit, but we are going to be able to announce which retailers are going to carry these. We're going to be able to announce, MSRPs at retail. So, if for whatever reason you can't back during the Kickstarter campaign, you will be able to pre-order these online. Full transparency, we make way more of your dollar if you back the campaign than if you go to an online retailer and pre-order it.
Of course.
So we would love for people to back, even if it's one figure. If you want all in but you can't afford it, please back for one figure, just to sort of give us an idea of what you might want. But the danger there is that a lot of Kickstarters, especially for action figure lines, have seen like big spikes when the retailers kind of come in and drop, big chunks of cash. And so we're trying to be very transparent that we are not going to have a retailer spike. This is purely an organic grassroots kind of thing. And if backers don't fund this, Big Bad Toy Store or eCollectibles in Canada or any of those retailers isn't going to have access to these. That's just the way that this is going to play out, because I didn't want to put the financial responsibility on the toy line. I want there to be enough demand that we could make these even without them effectively, but then be able to share it with them. As far as exclusives, that's a conversation that retailers would have after the fact. And then it's, okay, what do you want to do? Does it fit the line? Are we interested in doing it? Would you be able to place a minimum order quantity? How would that all work? Would we get some of them for us to sell through, our own channels? Who knows? But it's
no, I appreciate that.
Yeah. But effectively, personally, I think you reach out. Don't wait for people to come to you. That's even if you have the coolest thing in the world, if eyes don't get on it, you might not hear from anybody, right?
Sure.
Like, so you got to be proactive and just sort of get out there and do it.
So Sean's asking, did you mention that there's going to be an exclusive figure only available through the Kickstarter?
I haven't yet. I don't know if you have that picture or not. I don't know if you have it queued up or what.
I don't know which one it is.
It should. I sent you the Google folder.
Yeah, right? I did. Those are so I went through all the ones that I put on this.
I think it says Kickstarter exclusive.
Darn it! Then I missed it.
Hold on, I can pull it up though. I can pull it up on my end and share it.
Okay.
I think the spelling was Canadian. That's why you couldn't read it.
Yeah, probably.
It might very well have been. Yeah.
I don't always put my glasses on either.
I got to make sure that I share the right screen and not something that I shouldn't.
All your personal contact information.
Exactly. There you go. I've shared it down there if you want to bring it up.
All right.
Here, let me fix this too. I think I can fix this on my end. Whoops. That's not what I want. That one wasn't too dangerous.
Oh, glow in the dark.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no kidding.
Nice.
There's the broken helmet too. I like that.
Yeah, so this is that retro zombie again, but it's going to be a glow in the dark Kickstarter exclusive. And don't hold us to this, but the goal with this, I am an absolute sucker for translucent and glow in the dark stuff.
Yeah.
And so what I want this to be is sort of an opaque glow in the dark figure with like paint over top of it. So you'll still see the features of like the zombie face and all that kind of stuff. The best example that I can think of in terms of what I sort of had in mind when I sort of proposed to do it that way was like Ghost Jaga from the Super 7 Ultimates line, where it's a translucent figure, but it's not a transparent figure. Like it's not on it. Yeah, and then his paint is overlaid in a way that you still it's not completely opaque. It's virtually impossible to render something to be not opaque. Sure. And so that's why you don't necessarily see the less than fully opaque sort of look here. But yeah, it's going to be glow in the dark. It's going to be a Kickstarter exclusive. What I've said is, minimum order quantities are such that we will probably have some stock of this left after the fact. But it won't be on online retailers. It won't be up. You'll have to still get it from us, whether that's at conventions, whether we'll do giveaways for it, whether we'll do promotions like Toys for Tots, where we'll sort of have these out there or whatever. But yeah, these will not be available anyway but through us. And what I'm saying is, you know, if there's only a few left, we might pull a Funko and just burn them or something, and just make it a true
Yeah, I
exclusive.
dare you. This one's my new favorite.
Because I'm in the very, very small minority, and I'm sure you're gonna get comments. I love when exclusives are hard to get. I love if you're gonna call it an
So
exclusive.
does Vern.
If you're gonna call it an exclusive, make it exclusive. Don't make it so that like 3 months from now you can pick it up at Ollie's. Like that is such a kick in the teeth for anybody that like busts their ass to like.
So what you're saying is none of these will be available at Ollie's next year?
I mean, if they send me enough money, I'll send them.
Send them over there. That's pretty cool.
That's
love
awesome,
that.
Adam.
I love the glow in the dark.
Mhm.
All right. I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna pull up the Kickstarter page, and the link is pinned to the top of the chat.
Cedar stuff saying he just backed it.
Oh, nice. All right. So
Yeah, I got the glow in the dark. I just got the glow in the dark one.
Did you?
Yep.
Yeah.
all right. So we
Rad.
got
And
I
the
mean,
comic. I added
think-
the comic book on. So
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I've been collecting comics since I was 4 years old. So I've got it. You know, I can't live without your comic. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably that. Like, I remember being a kid and like going to the grocery store and having like the spinning rack at the grocery store, right? Where,
Yeah.
and I was, you know,
Inherited.
probably same thing, like 4, 5, 6 years old, and I don't think my mom ever like looked at what I would pull. So like, I was a little kid reading like Punisher.
Yeah.
And-
Right.
Like, what's going on here? A little above my age range, probably, but she didn't seem to care, and I turned out well enough as far as anybody knows.
The glow in the dark turns out to be just about $30 US. So it's
Yeah.
not bad.
You sure you
Yeah,
don't show no credit
With
card
the
stuff?
comic book tacked on, it was 36. So that's not bad.
No, that's good.
So the comic book is going to be a print comic.
Yeah, printed comic. Yep.
We're gonna
there-
we're gonna have both digital and physical for the comic and for the soundtrack. So, you know, it was kind of important for us to have like a really nice low pledge, you know, reward tier. So for 15 Canadian, which is about $11 US, you can get a digital version of the comic and the soundtrack. I just, you know, that $1 pledge without a reward is fine. And if people want to pledge $1, we appreciate that. You know, if you want to pledge $5, you know, that's awesome. But you know, for 15 Canadian or 11 US, I thought that was a pretty low threshold, and you actually still get something.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
that's
not
what
bad
happened.
at all, really.
Because I know that, you know, for whatever reason, you know, maybe people don't have that much money, but they want it back. So I wanted to make sure that people still got something out of this.
So
Instead of
people
just a
should know
thank
that
you.
this price of $36 Canadian, this is basically what we pay in Canada for all Black Series, all classified, all Power Rangers, all 6-inch figures are like $35.99 here in Canada.
Yeah.
So plus tax. So like you're not double the cost like we've seen some Kickstarters in the past. Like, and I know you also have a $44 Canadian for the one that has more accessories, right? So that's
This is like
still
glow in the dark
cheaper
exclusive.
than a deluxe Marvel Legends or any Hulk figure. So props on that for keeping the prices down to the point where you're not making profit. But that's why we need more people to back it, guys, not just the exact amount.
Yeah, I mean, it was really important for us for this line to like make sense to collectors that are already collecting other lines, right? These look and feel like G.I. Joe classified figures. Arlen, you know, Arlen sculpted a bunch of classified figures, so he's doing a lot of the similar techniques on these as he did on those. And it was important that, you know, if you're already collecting those and you kind of know those price points, that these didn't feel out of place in your collection or in your sort of budget. So I appreciate that, you know, people kind of have noticed and are like, you know what, these are like really reasonably priced. As I said, we won't make anything on these. But the goal is, you know, this gets us in the door, and this sort of gets eyes on the brand and sort of gets us the ability to maybe do, you know, another line or another wave or something like that. We have ideas for like a wave 1.5. We have, like I said, ideas for other lines. You know, that Vern, the zombie sort of full body that you showed, you know, is sort of proof of concept for what would a zombie look like, not in a spacesuit.
Right.
So those and those designs and sort of that design process is happening still behind the scenes. We're still talking about like, okay, when this funds, what's the next thing? And so we're super excited about this, and we hope that everybody will be able to sort of get into it and understand what we're trying to do.
So I did have a question about the comic book. It looks like it's like is that going to be just a one-off, or is there like plans to like continue like the series and tell more stories?
Yeah, it's a one-off for now. It's 32 pages, so it's going to be like a decent size, or that's the goal. That's what we've sort of mapped out, in terms of not storyboarding, but kind of like script-wise, we've basically mapped out 32 pages. In the future, with other lines, we would definitely do more books, maybe even for future waves, time permitting. We would like to do it. Now, whether we print them or it's just digital, whether we do a comic book or we just sort of release, pages of lore, on the website or something like that, remains to be seen. We would love to, because I mean, if you're collecting physical figures, I know a lot of people, John, you mentioned like you're a comic book collector too, so isn't it cool when you get those layers with a toy line where you get more than just the figures?
I suggest too, like
I'll do bed sheets if there's demand for it.
If you're going to be advertising the comic book and the vinyl record, like the pictures we saw, I didn't see much promotion of the comic book. And if you're going to be on like a Kickstarter, an Indiegogo type place, who are very heavy comic book based, right? Like I think most of the stuff on there is basically comic books. Get some of that comic book artwork out there, like on your media and even on your Kickstarter page, if it's there. And I just missed it while Vern was scrolling.
No, it's not there. We do have some pages.
I know it takes work.
Yeah, we do have some pages. The part of it is that we want this to be like, we want the toys to speak for themselves at first, and so again, with the same thing is like, why not just show everything?
I understand it's a toy Kickstarter.
It's a balancing act where it's tough. We probably will, and I mean, through updates through the Kickstarter campaign, we might show some of the art that's done. None of it's finalized either, so then you show something and people go, well, I saw this and now it's not there, and so you get pushback sometimes. And we do have all the masters for the soundtrack, so we'll probably have little snippets from the music in some of the updates and things like that too. So there's more to show. There's more to tell as well. And we're kind of just getting started. Getting back to, you mentioned that this is the first day. Yeah, we did launch yesterday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, which is, for anybody that sort of hasn't seen it, where I've sort of commented, that's actually like 0 hour UTC, which is Coordinated Universal Time, which is the time that they use in space, because you have to have a standard that's not related to the sun when you're, not related to a planet that uses time based on sun. I thought it was clever. People kept saying, what time does it launch on March 1st on Saturday? And I just never echoed Saturday back to anybody. I said, oh, well, we haven't announced the time. It'll launch on March 1st. But I never once said Saturday, and everybody just assumed it would be Saturday, because for us, in North America, March 1st is Saturday. And I did say, be mindful. No, it's not the same time everywhere all the time, unless you're in space where they use UTC.
Cool. So I have a question about the background behind the Kickstarter. So Arlen's the sculptor, I'm guessing. So he did all the digital renders and everything himself.
Yep.
And then from those renders, everything was like 3D printed in-house.
So all the paint masters and like samples that we've done so far have been printed in-house. All the files are like ready to submit to the factory. We did think about getting a check model done by the factory, but time frame wise, just because of Chinese New Year, it wouldn't have probably gotten back to us in time. So we just decided not to bother with it, because it would have been an expense that wouldn't have really benefited us if it shows up, too late.
So then like I'm just curious, because if somebody's out there and they want to make their own action figure, right?
Yeah.
What do you think the cost would be to get to that first production sample? Without, like, if you had to outsource everything.
What do you mean by production sample?
So you're
Because
talking about like,
everybody uses different language for like,
okay, so
like
you
a
guys,
3D printed.
3D render, 3D printed. Obviously, if you can do your own
Mhm.
modeling and do your own printing,
Mhm.
it's very cost effective.
Mhm.
But like, say, to get a factory to make the
Steel
first
molds.
So your
test
first
sample,
your
yeah,
first check model, which is done with a silicone mold,
right.
if you paid somebody to sculpt and you had your production manager and your factory do that first one, you're probably already $15,000 to $20,000 into it.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's
But
pre-steel mold.
that's pre-steel molds. Your steel molds are what cost a boatload of money. Like, they're bonkers. Just as a reference point, a plate. So the molds are made up of multiple plates, and a plate's about that big. That's about 6,000 US.
Wow.
Per plate.
And we can't ship them our Canadian-made steel to use. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a weird. As much as Canada and US and all these countries have trade agreements for different, minerals and fuels and whatever stuff, we still got to buy that product from their country. Do you know what I mean? So they can charge whatever they want for it.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do, right? But even if they import that steel from maybe from America or Canada or Russia or wherever they would get it from, the prices would be even more different. Like, it's tough to think that we would ever see this kind of manufacturing done in like North America or European kind of countries again, because all that steel and stuff just comes from the other countries anyway. So it's
also that
the cost of labor is a major
cost of labor,
too,
but
right?
the other thing too is that, like, North America moved away from a lot of production, a lot of manufacturing, a lot of factory work, almost on like a philosophical like thing, right? People wanted better paying, better skilled jobs, and that's not a factory job. So most people aren't getting their kids to do their homework with the intention of them working in a factory. If you ask a parent, like, what do you want your kid to work in a factory, they'd be like, oh, that's terrible work, we don't want that. So the idea that we should be bringing factories back to North America, US or Canada, is not that popular among people that would have to work in those factories. Like, it's grueling work. It's hard work. It's monotonous work.
It's get robots to do it.
Yeah, it's actually not a popular thing for people who want to make money, because if you ever watch this like Shark Tank, and I'll just use the one example, the guy had the little thing he built for a pickup truck. It was it raises up and you could put the lumber on the top or whatever. And they wanted to buy into it if he was willing to outsource the manufacturing. But the guy was adamant he wanted to have the factory in the US. And they were like, well, you can have the same number of jobs, but they'd all be like desk jobs, people doing sales. You know what I mean? And they could not talk him into it because he wanted to keep those.
You kind of increase sales, and the increase in sales would create, a need for office staff. And so the same 12 people that you've got in a warehouse would potentially just have easier work days. So more flexibility, because your costs would go down. I mean, that's just kind of the reality. I'm not trying to explain that or preach to anybody about that, but it's not a desirable job, and so that's why it gets outsourced. So everybody's making everything in Asia because of decades and decades of the machine sort of working towards that, right? So it's it's just odd when people are like, well, why not make them in Canada? It's like, if you can show me a factory that can make these for the price
you could 3D
as
print
well,
and hand paint every single order.
dude. Like, that's people think it's like, if you I don't even have 3D printers, but I know people that are like, yeah, I turned the print on this morning and it'll be done tonight. And they show me what they printed in like 10 hours.
One a
and
week.
It's like
10 hours. I've had prints go for like 3 days.
That's what I mean. And it's like, it doesn't work that like a factory just injects the plastic and you get 30 figures in a minute. Like it doesn't even, it's so much faster and more efficient. But again, you know, they don't have the same, you know, safety standards in the factory. They don't have the same environmental safety standards either, which isn't to say that, you know, people are using dirty factories or anything like that. It's just, everything's different. Everything works differently. And it's just,
the reason I wanted to like bring that up is because like what you were talking about, we need more bucks for bucks, right? Like to kind of understand the cost of the making that, you want to get the most use out of it, right? Like, because I will admit, okay, like I have complained before about some companies using the same basic body, but at the point I complain, it's like when they're in their like third wave of figures, right? Like do one thing different.
Yeah, you know, 8 years later, yeah.
And I will say this, that it depends. Like there's, you know, from my experience, and I've never worked for Hasbro, I've never worked for Mattel. I don't know how their numbers work. I don't know what they're paying for molds. I don't know how many units, you know, they're making per SKU, per figure, right? So the first time they used that buck, you know, you amortize the cost of that tooling over that wave. The second time you use it, you know, you're now getting even better value of the mold cost. So your production costs, you know, are pretty static. You know, if you're making a figure, it costs X dollars to make, but your mold cost is what really sort of gets broken down the more units you make. And so for small companies that are making, you know, a couple thousand units, you break that mold cost down. Even if the molds are exactly the same price for Hasbro, which I doubt they're paying the same price because they're probably getting a discounted rate on their molds. You know, their production per figure might be the same as ours, but they're making 50,000 units or whatever compared to 500 units. You know, they're paying pennies for their molds, whereas we're paying a lot more. Just as a point of reference, and I mean, I don't mind saying this, you kind of never hear it get thrown out there because, you know, people might ask, but nobody seems to want to answer the question. For the buck, like just for this basic buck, the body that's sort of inside there, it's about $80,000 for the molds.
Wow.
Yeah.
For that alone. And then, you know, when people are like, oh, make more heads, make this accessory, make this. Okay, we'll add more plates to that estimate. Yeah. Like we don't just go, you know, it's not just, okay, well, it's you know, it's $80,000. Oh, you want more stuff for 80,000? No, it's like you want another piece. Okay, that's another 6,000. Oh, you want this as well. Okay, that's a little more. So you're, you know, it's 10,000. Before you know it, you know, you're another $30,000 in mold costs. And it adds up real quick.
Yeah.
Because this is not your first time making toys, right? The Kingdom toys you were worked with before. Is it good that are you using the same factories? And is that a good benefit because you have that experience of, okay, here's the type of digital file my guy needs to give to the factory, or here's the same place we send in the paint sample to. So are you using the same factory or factories with this as the previous job you guys did?
Yeah, so there's you know, there's not that many factories that make action figures. And there's not that many people that are sort of liaisons between the Chinese factories and you know, people like me.
English speaking people.
English speaking people, exactly. There's like literally a handful. And so the other thing that people might not realize that, or sort of the way that it sort of works, is that like you have to basically approach somebody that you know that is a like a project coordinator. You need somebody that can sort of speak the language or is on the ground. Like Animal Warriors of the Kingdom has a great project manager who actually lives in Taiwan, and then sort of works in China. And so it's really, really quick and easy to get sort of changes made or to see samples or whatever, because he can just take a picture and sort of send it in a text message now. And so that really expedites the process, but there's really only so many, and there's really only so many machines. And so, you know, when you hear about, this is not what you asked, but like when you hear about a delay, sometimes it's as simple as like, you know,
a lineup.
They didn't get in the queue fast enough and they're just waiting their turn. It's not even really a delay. It's just like, we're just waiting in line. You know, it's kind of like if you go to the bank, if you're there when they open, great. But if you're there 10 minutes later, you might be the 30th person in line, even though you got there right on time. You know, you know, you missed one red light and your day is ruined because you're going to be at the bank all day. It's no different than that. But as far as, you know, your question, yes, we are working with people that you know, both Arlen and I are familiar with, and that makes it that much quicker and easier. And Arlen, like I said, has worked with other toy lines before, and so like I said, as far as the you know, the engineering and the articulation and stuff like that, Arlen's able to do most of that himself, and able to, like,
bonus right there. Yeah,
it's a huge bonus because we're not going back and forth with a factory who, you know, we didn't send them like a static file and have them design the figure. Arlen's sending them a file for every piece of the figure, down to you know, the ball joints and stuff like that, right? So it's so much quicker and so much more cost effective if you're kind of relying on the factory to just make the thing. So like I said, the next step for us really is to get a check model done. And then once your check model comes back, you know, you make your changes, you send it back, you might get another version of that, depending on how closely, you know, the factory can get it right. You know, that's the biggest delay is the development. But because of the people that we're working with being people that we've worked with before, we know the quality of the product that's coming out of that factory. We know, you know, the quality of the project manager. We know how well he's going to communicate with us. So all of that stuff is, you know, that's the least of our worries. You're really just trying to make your timing right so that you can,
and probably the most important part too. So it's good that you got it covered.
Yeah, we know our project manager, we know our factory, like we know all that stuff. We've got all that stuff lined up. Like I said, we could send these files to the factory tomorrow, and get them rolling on you know, actual factory production first steps, not production, but you know, the check model, which I said like is a silicone mold. You know, and then you just double check, like, hey, did this come out of the mold right? Is this what you want us to cut into the steel?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I think the Kickstarter looks fantastic. I'm totally going to be like trying to figure out what it is that I'm going to pack personally. But before we move on, because we're going to do some reveals, we're going to go over some stuff that came out earlier in the week. But I did want to do this before we do that, because we got to put you to the test. So
yeah.
Oh man.
So we can do this one of two ways. We could just pull up the pictures and you could see if you could figure it out, or you can go against our horror movie expert, which is Dean.
Right here.
Okay, so I will say this is going to make it even more embarrassing. You sort of pitched this to me before we started, and I said I'm up for it. I probably get them all wrong. But just to even paint a worse picture of myself when I don't get any of them right, I worked in a video store off and on for like 8 years.
Oh,
so but I am terrible with the titles of movies. I'll be able to like tell you the plots and stuff like that, and like who made it, and I'll probably forget the title. So but I'm game. I'll try.
No cheating.
All right. So what we'll do is I'll put up the picture, and then we'll do a contest. So whoever raises their hand the first will get to guess the movie. And then we'll see who comes out on top. And Dean should not be warmed up because he didn't say a whole thing for an hour and a half. So he probably
I did say one thing, didn't I?
All right, you guys ready? All right.
No, I don't know it. I thought it was something, but it's not.
Well, that's minus a point because you raised your hand.
Okay, can I guess then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is this the remake of Night of the Living Dead?
It is. It's
okay.
From the Graveyard.
Ding, ding,
ding.
I saw the Graveyard, and then I was like, that's not black and white. My initial thought is wrong.
Does he have something stuck in his shoulder?
Don't Don't they swing a post at him?
Yeah,
or
something like that.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Right,
I
yeah.
I was
think
gonna
so.
say Shaun of the Dead because it looks like a comedy scene with that stick.
It does almost, right?
No,
Yeah.
Well, Night of the
you know
Living
what?
Dead was kind of a comedy.
I was
mean,
gonna
come
say
on.
if you take the soundtrack out, like the eerie soundtrack and the lack of like other music and stuff like that, aren't zombie movies kind of comical? Like they're all
They're
like
a little
if you
over the
change the
top.
perspective and change the context, they're all kind of goofy. I mean, and then you get into some of the like what's the one in the mall? Day of the Dead?
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the
Like
Dead.
clearly a satire on
That's my favorite one.
consumerism.
Come on.
Anyways,
The remake
Alright.
was good. I thought
Are
the
you good?
the
remake,
remake was really good. Yeah.
the zombies ran.
All right.
They're always in Crossroads Mall too.
All right, get ready. Here comes picture number 2. Almost looks like the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I
Is
was gonna
that
say.
ours? No, I'm just
I think
kidding.
that's AI. Did you create that?
I did not. It's actually from a movie.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know
think
this
I've
one
seen that
either.
movie.
Anybody in the chat?
I
Nope.
want to watch that.
Yeah.
Because that looks.
Liv Schreiber's in it.
Can I guess?
Yes.
Oh, I think you might have. Is it Ghosts of Mars?
No.
Or no, I always get Ghosts of Mars wrong. Is it just called Red Planet?
No.
I don't know the title, but I know the one that you're talking. Like I said, I don't know titles.
It's the Last Days of Mars. The Last Days on Mars or whatever. But it's the guy Ray Donovan. He was in it, and they got it.
I remember that one.
Yeah. And the
I
only
remember
reason I
this.
know about this is because I was just scrolling through like TikTok, and apparently it knew I was looking at Space Zombies, so it threw up. All right. All right. No points there. Dino?
I agree,
you're
Jonathan.
losing.
Running zombies
Yeah.
are just wrong.
All right, how about this one? All right, that's kind of a dark picture.
That looks like a Rob Zombie movie.
No, that looks like Iggy Pop as a zombie, but I can't remember.
It does.
I can't remember what that
I
is.
don't recognize that one.
No, nothing.
Yeah, nobody
recognize
knows
it.
these, Vern. You pick pictures that
Dead
nobody
Don't Die.
knows.
It's Bill Murray. He was like the sheriff in a small
Oh,
town
is
where
that-
the zombies.
Is that the Dead
Oh.
Don't Die? That was a
Yeah,
good movie.
that's from the
That
Dead
was
Don't
2
Die.
years ago, right? I don't think I
Yeah.
saw that
Yeah,
one.
I hate it. That movie was horrible.
All right,
No, it was
all right.
fun. What do you mean it was horrible?
Really?
It was good.
Okay. And
That's
here
with,
you go. Ready? Like,
Kylo
you
Ren,
ready?
right?
That's
Oh, Shaun of the Dead.
yeah.
All right, all right. That's
That's
it. That's
the,
all I
the
got.
end
That's
when
all I
he's got him in his shed.
XM33.
All right, I got one right.
All right.
1-1.
Yeah. So there's no tiebreaker.
That's good. That's perfect.
That
I'll
was
take
good.
it. I'll take a tie.
Anyways, good. You guys did a good job there. All right. A lot of stuff came out this week, didn't it?
Are we going to look at what came out?
Yeah, we can do that. All right. So this is the section that toys revealed that you didn't know you needed. Let's just check this out. We heard this week that Mattel now has a license for DC. So what does that mean for all your McFarlane superhero action figures?
But
So
do
is
we
Power
know-
not making it now?
Wait,
What?
yeah. Do we know that McFarlane's not making it? I mean, they could
McFarlane
have got the
McFarlane is
5-inch
making
license.
until the end of 2025.
Right.
He officially commented on it today, so he's got lots of new
Okay.
toys to come out throughout the whole year. December 2026. I do not think McFarlane is making DC action figures anymore.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So
I
he's
think
gotta
it-
get
year.
every figure out by the end of the year.
He
I-
kind of has, though. If you
Right.
be honest, has he missed any Batman character, figure, color,
don't think
variant
so.
version ever? I don't think so.
He's made some up. He's
It's
gone
the
beyond.
retro-
Yeah.
It's the retro superpowers that some collectors are like, well, who are they gonna? Is Mattel gonna continue on the superpowers line with their own new molds, or can Todd still have a piece of that license, make the retro figures, make his statues? Because I think the statue thing, McFarlane's gonna make for everybody.
Well, I
Star
wonder if
Wars,
he can make a deal
Marvel,
with Mattel to
DC,
do
Lord of the Rings, you name it, he's gonna make.
continue the
statues.
superpowers, right? Like he makes a deal with Mattel just for that or something like that. But I have a feeling
Well,
like
Mattel doesn't own superpowers; they just own DC.
right, but Mattel.
But I
goes
think it's a
back-
master license.
Yeah.
So I think McFarlane loses all rights
Yeah.
to
Oh,
DC.
a master license.
He could pick some up though.
Spin Master makes them. Iron, like Gentle Giant, like all kinds of other companies make DC action figures of Batman and other DC superheroes. McFarlane was the only one doing 7-inch. Yeah, for sure, you can do more movie stuff.
No, but I think Mattel's picked up all of the licenses.
Yeah,
like
so
I think
even Spin Master's losing it. You think?
I think so.
Yeah.
You're probably right. That's why they have a full year to get them all out, right?
That's why it's such big news, from my understanding, is that because it's because there's so many people that sort of had a piece of the DC license, Mattel is like chomping at the bit for this because it's so much in their wheelhouse. You mentioned all those other companies that are making other little things. Mattel makes everything. So Mattel can make, a kids line for, 3 years and under.
Well,
they
Mattel
can make a line for
owns Imaginext, so that's that children's kind of preschooly stuff.
Yeah.
But what about companies like Mezco? Like Mezco is finally going to do a decent Hulk. Is that going to be the last DC figure that Mezco makes?
No, because the Hulk is Marvel.
Yeah, well, come on. Right?
Oh, sorry. Mezco also does
Kick him out of here.
DC characters.
Are
they going to stop doing that? Because Mezco does like every license.
Well, they might. I mean, they might just have to ask Mattel,
right? That's
to sort of extend them that license if it is a master license. I don't know that it is or not, but that certainly seems to be what the suggestion is.
Yeah,
is that this isn't just for 6-inch figures. This is like Mattel gets the whole DC pie as far as
Spin Master says they only have the license to the end of 2025.
Yeah, so that's I think that's it. If you're
so they both got Superman.
Make every Jokerized version you can now because you've only got a year.
I think it's smart by Mattel.
6-inch figures.
I think it's smart by Mattel because I think they're totally going to capitalize on this rebirth of the
the new movies
universes, right? Like, so I think that's a pretty good deal for them.
I'm happy because it's 6 inches. Just
thing about right? We don't know that Mattel's going to go back to 6-inch.
I want 3.75.
Well, I guess their wrestlers are bigger than 6-inch too, right?
I mean, they used to do that 6-inch line. It was a little bit short, I feel like, but their line wasn't really super great, right? When they used to do this,
it wasn't
DC
quite in
DC Direct.
But
they've also got Masterverse, which is like 7-inch.
Yeah. So
so they do 7-inch with the wrestlers and Motu, and I hope it's 6-inch.
Jonathan's saying it is a master license.
Yeah, that's what I thought I'd seen too, or at least the suggestion was that it was.
And then everybody else wants a 3.75-inch figure. All right.
Well, no, Bender's booing me. Bender's booing me for 3.75. I like 3.75 because I want more vehicles, and vehicles fit better when you have a smaller action figure line.
And then, John, you should really be happy.
What about 1/24th scale?
Yeah, these 1/24th figures.
I like the mask stuff. Yes,
these look great.
I might. The only thing about the mask line, I have to say, is they are so close to the originals that since I have all the originals, do I really need to buy these?
Well, to have a nice clean box and
that's maybe the thing. I may end up buying a couple of these and just not even opening them because I've got all the originals loose. And if I put this next to the original, it's going to look like I have two of the same thing,
And that's where I'm kind of interested in this new license, right? So this is a Hasbro license that they licensed out to this other toy company, right?
Yeah.
To make these toys. And because they do look so exact, I wonder if they got or borrowed like the technical drawings and the blueprints from Kenner, which is now Hasbro, to make these. Like they don't have the steel molds anymore. They don't last longer than 10 years.
No, yeah.
But they could have and they didn't have 3D files in 1984, so it wasn't. They can't just email them. But they could have technical drawings. And I want, because if you looked at the figures, they're a little different. There's a little sculpt details differently.
They're a little bit taller.
But the vehicles look the exact same with added blast effects. And I'm not a mask expert, but they look pretty damn accurate to
They
be.
do, yeah. But they did say they had to retool everything from the ground up.
Oh, yeah, of course, because
Yeah.
like I said, they don't have.
So and reimagine and remake all the transformable features.
Wait a
But
minute.
I saw
Did
the
it-
figure. I saw the figure laying in somebody's hand, and when it
Uh-huh.
laid in their hand, it almost went across the hand. And if you lay the original figure in, it only goes to your pointer finger.
Well, there's
Yeah, but it all
pictures
depends
of.
on your hand. The
There's
size of your
pictures
I
of
hand.
guess so,
people-
but I
What scale was the hand?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Exactly.
posing.
Was it my
their-
hand or your hand?
Maybe my hand's an inch bigger than the person who had them at Toy Fair, but I don't
You
know.
know, I
but
think they used to do measuring like that. They would measure by whoever the king's foot was, right? Like, oh, and he would go out and like measure. And then if there was another king, all of a sudden he took some of your property back because his feet weren't as
Mhm.
big.
There are people at Toy Fair who brought their original mask figures with them and cars, and like, believe it or not, people bring this shit in their backpacks, and they've taken pictures of them side by side with the new figures and stuff, and they're the exact same size.
Yeah.
They're literally the exact, like, to the
so that
millimeter.
person just had a really small hand that showed
Yeah.
it off.
Could have been.
But
yeah.
it's weird that
Yeah.
people brought their own mask toys from the 80s to
Well,
a
I
convention.
would've,
in
that's
New
what I
York.
mean. I wanted to
They
know if
wanted
it's
to
the
see
same
how they were
size.
going to compare.
But
Yeah.
it's not a fan fest thing. It's a business place.
Wow.
Like, it's people are trying to sell these toys.
Yeah,
to
but
Walmart.
it's full
Yeah.
of nerds.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
it's,
is, but they don't talk to the nerds. They're like, get out of here, nerds.
Well,
no,
they-
there's
they
you
want
have
to
they
go
have
Walmart to
meetings. They
come
have
walking by.
meetings not on the floor, but then all the nerds are just on the floor measuring things. How many hands tall? Is it?
Exactly.
All right.
I think these look great. I'm all for anything Kenner.
I am all in on these.
And I really want them to throw that Kenner logo on it. That should be included with their licensing fee, that they're allowed to put that Kenner logo on a box. It just should be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be
I think that would be smart.
Yeah, I think that would totally be a good idea. To throw
They
that on.
they said there was a press release that said that they're going to have they said that they don't have the molds, that these were ground up, but that they had all the designs, they had all the original boxes as reference, and that they was going to be very, very vintage inspired. That that it was going to be vintage inspired packaging, vintage inspired advertising. That everything they're trying to just remake what you already had, but update some things. So I think some of the sculpts look a little bit
So they're going to get
nicer,
those kids that did
and the
commercials
figures
all
look
grown-
better. I
the
hope
the
so.
figures
They're not
head
allowed
sculpts
anymore,
look
but-
a lot more like the cartoons. You know? what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The kids that were in the commercials are going to be all grown up playing with their new
Yeah,
action figures in the commercials.
That would be funny. Yeah.
Like
And I
Bobby,
saw
like
there-
Monahan doing the
There
Star
is
Wars
going to be
thing.
a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive version of the truck. It's going to be expensive because it's going to have some added die-cast parts and metallic paint on.
Oh yeah, to do the chrome.
That's the Rhino, the big semi-trailer
Yeah.
one. So I don't know the exact price points, but it looks like the biggest one, the Rhino, will be about $59.69 US.
Somebody
And
said
it's
here, like,
convention exclusive with a couple extra figures, might be $100 US.
so Cedar Stuff is saying pricing is okay, $30 for the Condor and up to $100 for the Rhino.
Yeah, they put all the pricing up just earlier today. They did.
Mhm.
I saw it.
Rhino's $100, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's. I mean, man, people ask us about vehicles already. We don't even have a toy line,
yeah.
but like tooling costs and all that kind of stuff. Like $100 is super reasonable.
Yeah.
If
For a very big, not very big, but
it's big, it has moving
bigger
parts.
than medium
has
scale
lots of
toy.
detail. There's two
with
figures
lots
in
of play
there.
features. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
I'm going to be in for these. I only
I'm-
own one mask vehicle, and it's for sale. But I mean,
Oh, I can
but I
afford the
do
new one?
like. But I do want.
Yeah.
I want
Get
to.
a-
I'm
sell
going to
as
get
vintage,
these. I might as well get a
new
nice shiny new box.
That's
Yeah.
how I feel. That's how I totally feel. Like the vintage stuff is great. If you collect vintage, that's awesome.
All the
you know,
tires break on
they're
the vintage
super
stuff.
expensive, and the springs don't work anymore and stuff like that. I open everything and I play with everything.
Oh,
I got 3 young kids, so like I'm buying these for us to like
Yeah, I don't know.
roll around on the floor and play with.
I had to buy 3 rhinos to make one that
yeah,
worked.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was here building them. Took them all apart. Was building them, getting a spring that worked, getting all the stuff that the ejector door seat to work. Yeah.
Probably had to get
So-
aftermarket decals.
No,
So I am excited
Well, you
for-
do, yeah, you do. But mine,
Yeah.
I'm excited for the loyal subjects, doing all these Hasbro brands because they're gonna become a toy company that's in all the major Walmarts
Yeah.
and Targets and GameStop.
Well, they already
and whatnot.
are. So
But
loyal,
with just
loyal subjects,
strawberry shortcake and
Loyal Subjects is all over my Ross store.
they've got Ninja Turtle stuff. They've got the
Yeah.
strawberry shortcake stuff. They've got the gem stuff. So they're already out there. It's kind of like how Jada. People are like, oh, this new Jada company. They've been making cars forever. They
Yeah,
just
they
started
make
making
a
Street
lot of
Fighter
cars.
action figures, and people were like blown away that a toy company knew how to make toys, which to me was sort of like, huh, like they know what they're doing. They've just never done this form function before. But
Well, it's kind of like what you said before. One of your guys, he's experienced at sculpting action
Yeah.
figures. So Jada now has someone working for him who's experienced at sculpting action figures. Like it
Mhm.
might even be the guy, like that guy. Well, I don't
Mhm.
want to spoil anything. I'm just saying.
nah, I don't
That's
think
a big
Garland's
part
doing
of
any
it,
Jada
right?
stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, Star Wars had their stream, or Hasbro had their Star Wars stream, and once again, I did not see a Carson Teva action figure.
Yeah, what a injustice to
He was in
Captain
behind
J-Bug.
Hammerhead. He was way behind him.
All right. Well, this guy's arm comes off, but in the picture, he doesn't drop his glass when his arm comes off. And I didn't put that picture up. I should have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
but,
still grasped in his paw.
I wonder, is that glass separate or is it molded right to the hand? I wonder.
No,
It's separate.
It's
Is it-
separate. That's why it's a deluxe pricing because of the mug.
It's the same,
Look at that cup.
same figure too, I believe, right? From the previous release.
Rick's really happy for this. This is his favorite character.
It's probably the best vintage collection figure they've ever made, to be honest.
except for the packaging. But yes,
Yeah, the packaging's horrible.
What-
I don't think.
yeah,
I
what
think
are
they should have
people-
left all the weapons out. Just
Because
put
the
one on
card is
radio
2 inches
side.
wider, people are complaining.
yes, because it doesn't fit on the wall with the
Yeah,
rest
it won't
of
fit
mine.
with
Then
my other
open
ones.
it.
I am going to open it, but I'm only
Then,
buying
then
one.
no one should whine. If the
I
three
would have
people that
bought
complain-
two. No, I would have bought two and kept one on the card. Now Hasbro's losing a sale because I'm only buying one.
We
and
talked about
opening
this
it.
before, for people
Yeah.
who collect, right? They put them on a card back, but the card backs don't match the size.
Yeah.
They don't fit in a
Well, yeah,
star
well, look at
case.
that.
You
They
know,
don't
because
fit in a star case. They don't fit
It's-
in a GW acrylic case.
It's not the first one
everything's
that's done
built
like this.
to
It's
that
like
size.
I think it's probably the 10th they've done this size. So
and
you
I
should
never
have
bought
a nice.
any of them.
You should have a nice even amount.
I never bought any of the oversized cards. yet.
anyone dizzy
I
yet?
don't own a
from that?
single oversized card.
I didn't know
Don't
you were
worry,
pulling up.
they won't be making these in 2026 anymore anyway.
Yeah, nerd fight. You're right, Bender. Nerd fight.
All right.
Yep.
Anyways,
But
I'll
I'm
get
definitely
Phil.
getting one to open and
I'm getting
it's
one
an
open
awesome
and one.
figure.
I don't care about the
comes with
card
that-
because if I got it, I
power.
would just open it.
It
Yeah,
comes with that Power of the Force 2 blaster too, which is just badass. They
Yeah, that-
rescaled it.
double one. Yeah.
All right. And then is this guy on clearance on Amazon?
I have a box of them. If anyone
I know.
wants one, I've got 7 of them.
They're re-releasing this?
Yeah.
That's the TBC version.
Yeah,
isn't
but
it?
new
Now, are they
figures-
just
Black Series.
releasing more of the stock? Are they just re-propositioning people to buy this? Because I
No,
feel like
I
they still
think the
have
head-
this.
The head
Yeah,
sculpt
it's still
is different,
available. You
isn't
can
it?
order it today on Amazon and get the original one. I think what they're going to do is they're just going to get Amazon to take all the old ones and put them in a new
They don't
box.
do that.
Right.
Is this,
So
is this archive or Black Series?
This is the only Rogue One character that they did not reproduce last year with the new face tech print.
Yeah.
Oh, did
So
they
this-
upgrade the face on this?
They up face print on every toy they make
Okay.
now from Star
Okay.
Wars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then that's worthwhile then.
It
That's what
does
I'm saying.
look
I think
good.
it's
It
a
looks
new-
like the actor.
Because it's in Andor season 2. That's why they're doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes
Yeah.
sense. All right.
Did this go up for pre-order, or is this just like a reveal?
March 5th. I think
March
it's
5th,
all
yeah.
up for pre-order.
Okay. I was gonna say I wonder if there will be like an Andor season 2 wave, and maybe this is part of it, but maybe that's not. Maybe it's
There's
just
a couple.
a precursor
There
to
are a
it.
couple, yeah.
There's
And
Andor.
he came with a cape on the other one, where I don't think he gets the cape with this release.
Oh,
He does. He has. It's a
he
hard
does, he does.
plastic.
I just
case.
didn't. Put
It is a
picture up
cape. He
on-
does get a cape with
Yeah,
this
it's
release.
exact
Okay.
same figure.
Exact,
All right.
exact same.
New head.
All right. This is the Cassian Andor that they revealed. I think this looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
It looks
yeah.
cool.
You better make a TIE fighter for him.
Yeah, and the fact with the helmet and stuff like that, I really like it.
That's an interesting tie helmet. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm
See,
also,
What's funny about me is
Well, it's prequel,
I would
right?
buy this to have
Uh,
the TIE Trooper, not the Cassian.
I just think it's cool that they can pick a time frame that we're all very well aware of, like right before A New Hope, and still find a way to insert a new trooper design
Yeah.
or style. I just
They're
think that's
calling this-
awesome.
Yeah, they're calling this test pilot, so it's probably
Yeah.
like he infiltrates like some secret base where he's going to
the
get some
TIE
secret
factory or
gift
something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's that TIE silencer, I think it's called.
Yeah, it is a TIE silent. It's not silencer, I think, isn't it? The
Something.
TIE.
Yeah, it's a new
Yeah,
one.
it's
that's in
from the
trailer.
video game. It's from the video game.
Mm.
We flew it in the X-wing and TIE Fighter video games way back in the day. With
That
the
nice
same
little-
game that invented the Defender.
Yeah, yeah.
Invented
Nice
this
little
one.
beard action.
So they're pulling
Again-
some like legend stuff back into canon.
For the
I always
Yeah,
like
like
when
the-
they do that.
Yeah. Well, it was a Lucasfilm game, so I mean, do you really count that game as not canon?
Well, it depends who you ask. Do you want to start
I
a
mean,
fight?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think that's the.
John does like to fight a lot of
Another
people.
nerd fight, right?
I mean,
here.
no disrespect to Star Wars fans that are like rational, but there's a
Yeah,
lot that
yeah.
aren't.
There's that black and red combo again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
TIE Fighters,
Yeah,
know,
you
black
just
and
don't
red
like
works
the thing
again.
because of the red they added.
You know what? I don't. Here, okay. Let me clarify. I don't have a problem with black and red. It doesn't do anything. I'm not like, oh, sweet, another black and red decoed character. Like it doesn't.
But if you can put that zombie head on this pilot, that would be badass.
Sure.
There you go. Yeah.
Go
there
for
you
it.
go.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm not saying people shouldn't make black and red characters. I'm saying they don't move the needle for me as much as other color combinations do. So.
That would be kind of interesting though, Rick. Get one of those zombie heads, right? Do the head swap, then make a video where he's taking off the helmet and he's a zombie. All right. You know what
And
I
then-
would rather?
And then our line is canon in Star Wars.
Yeah. What I would instead of this, some more Knights of Ren would have been nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of just one.
Instead of the only one that has come out.
It looks like the umpire sitting behind home plate.
Did they? I don't follow Black Series too closely because I have very strict rules for what Black Series figures I buy. Did they do the might have been a Knight of Ren, might not have been Knight of Ren from Acolyte?
Not from Acolyte, just that one actually called the Knight of Ren from the sequel
like-
movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
you mean the main villain though in the Acolyte?
No,
Did they
not even
announce that?
him. Not even him. What didn't he have a master? Or wasn't there like a
Oh.
master that like
Darth Plagueis.
I guess was it?
He just peeked
Plagueis.
around the corner.
Yeah.
He's like a weird alien called Mung species or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't
Marok, is that who you mean?
Merrick.
No, they made Merrick, didn't they?
Yeah, he was from an Ahsoka show, right?
Merrick. Yes.
No, I don't
These are
know.
cool. I like the red armor.
Again, like titles, names are not
Yeah.
my.
I
You show
think
me a
these
picture
are
and
the.
I'll tell you.
I think this is the Praetorian Guards, the group
Yeah.
that fought.
Yeah.
That fought
Heavy
Vizsla,
Mando.
the heavy Mando Vizsla guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh.
one figure, but he comes with 3 different elements, 3 different weapons, so you can buy 3 of them, so you can have the 3 of them.
Right.
Oh,
And
okay.
there's
Which is
deluxe
good.
price. No, I don't know.
Because I don't think a 3-pack would sell too well.
Are they deluxe prices, Rick?
No, these are all 35
This is
Canadian,
the
24
standard,
American.
Standard, okay. Well, then that's worthwhile then. Finally, the Moff Gideon clone, right?
I think it's great. But what is it? 2 years too late?
Yeah, it's a little late.
That's what I think. I
Great
think
looking figure. I just wish I had it 2 years ago.
unless he's going to come back like this in that Mando movie,
Well, we know he's
Right.
been cloned several times.
yeah.
Good
He'll be
point.
back.
He could be back and be like, oh, I've never met you.
He's going to be in Marvel movies, Star Wars movies, and DC movies. He's
Yeah.
not going anywhere.
Do we?
I made my first custom of Moff Gideon using the head from the Breaking Bad figure.
Yeah, I got a couple of those.
Is that a soft cape?
It is.
like it.
It looks
And
like
it's 2 color. It's black on one side,
Yeah.
red on the other. So like 2 fabrics glued together.
That might be enough to get me to pull the trigger.
There you
It's
go.
something they haven't really done before. I don't think they've done a 2-color cape like this. It's
Yeah,
mostly
somebody
like
somebody had
Lando.
one where it was a different color inside. Who was it?
Lando was just plastic, blue and gold. But if they made that like actual fabric, it would be one of the greatest figures they've made. And same with Bespin Leia. If they ever make a Bespin Leia, if they give her a plastic robe, man, I'm done.
Yeah, why
It'd be the
haven't
most-
they done Bespin Leia gown? That's weird.
So sourcing
I
out the
asked
fabric.
them at Comic-Con, and was when
They
Patrick
thought
was-
they thought
They
you
said
did.
they
Yeah.
did, right?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
told me they did, and I was like, no. And he had to ask somebody else. Who's the designer guy who turned off the pinball machine at
Eric?
Comic-Con on the little
No,
kid?
it's not Eric.
He said he was the one that corrected Patrick, and I was like, he actually thought, no, we did it, and I was like, no.
Now, does that make you wonder if they did, renders, and they did,
Yeah,
do this
right,
whole
there you
thing,
go.
and like they did, like, I mean, Patrick has been known to suggest
Slip
things
things,
have been
yeah.
made.
Make
Yeah.
mistakes.
Like maybe it was out there, and maybe they just never got around to actually,
That's what I think.
producing it and soliciting it. So.
I think they were like, no, let's just wait for the 50th anniversary.
Poor
or something.
Patrick, that poor man. He's got it rougher than any of those other faces for those lines. Like,
Yeah,
Still got a job. I think he's on the Nerf team though, but he's still there.
I'm shocked he still has a team, to be perfectly honest. But like, I'm glad that he does, because I'd feel terrible for that guy.
Yeah,
I just
All
want the instruments.
I know John's super happy for this.
Is this the 6
I
inch
really
line?
want this.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's
That's-
one retro O-ring of Zartan with guitar.
So far, I think
So
we're gonna get
far,
all
yeah.
4. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was also a Super 7 San Diego Comic-Con pack that was this exact
Sure.
same thing.
They
It's
didn't
gonna
show
come
it
on
off
a
today.
record, right? A giant record would be great.
I think this
It
is going to
could.
be like $150 though.
Yeah.
I think they're sold individually.
No, it's a box.
Yeah,
It's a box
Really?
set. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now-
It's gonna be over 100 at least.
Now,
yeah,
if it's
that's
that
gotta be more
price,
than that.
if it's that price though, but the packaging like opens up to be like a stage,
right.
Oh, that would be cool.
Then that's better.
would that justify
Yeah.
What
that
kind?
price?
What, a cardboard stage?
Yeah,
In a
like
sense,
nothing
yeah.
crazy
Would be.
elaborate, but like you'd
Yeah.
get the background from the
That'd be
episode,
cool.
and you'd get
If this is
because then you'd
sold
be
as
able
a-
to display it, right?
If
If
this
I
is sold as a box set, it won't be in any retail stores.
here's the thing, if
Oh no,
if
yeah,
I
they
could
said it's
truly-
exclusive.
if I could truly believe that it's going to be an exclusive, then I would say, yeah, it's worth it picking it up at
Make
Comic.
it always exclusive.
But I just have
Yeah.
a feeling like it'll end up with a like a second run that gets sold on their site. So then it's non-exclusive. Like if it was just the ones that ended up on the site were the ones that were left over from the initial convention, that's
Mhm.
one thing. But I think they're going to produce more
Could be.
solely to sell them on the site.
I mean, I do think they've got an issue because if they do it as a strict exclusive and say they only make like 1,000 of these or something,
You
I
can't make
think that's a
1,000 of something.
disservice to them because
Yeah.
they could
agree.
easily sell 100,000 of these. You know what I mean?
I think
'Cause
it'll be,
Well,
if it's a set,
Every-
$200 US, easy.
every fan of the original cartoon that saw this episode is going to want this set. Like even if they did get the instruments wrong, I mean the 2 guitars are completely the wrong guitar, and the keyboard
Oh,
was
really?
actually one that he stood up to.
Mhm.
It was on a stand. He didn't have a keyboard, like key guitar. So
Guitar.
even though they have the wrong instruments except for the drum set, everyone would want this set. who's
Why
been
do
a
you think
fan of the
they-
cartoon.
they didn't get it right.
So
It's
they
just
can
a
release
drawing.
them individually later with
Yeah,
the correct
so, yeah,
instruments.
yeah.
There
that
you go,
could be
Vern.
too. Yeah.
I
Even
I-
the logo is technically wrong from the original cartoon.
Yeah, it's an updated logo, but they've done that with everything. Like the
Right.
Tiger Force logo was updated, like
Exactly, yeah.
the Night Force one was updated. Like all that seems to be the way that they've done it, is
Yeah.
that they've updated it just enough to sort of make it specifically classified. And I
Yeah.
think they've kind of done that with the musical instruments as well. I think that's going to be their sort of justification, or their sort of explanation of why it's a little bit different.
So if this is a set and it's a con exclusive or all cons throughout the year exclusive, I
It's
don't know
supposed to be
how
a
they
San
worded it.
Diego Comic Con exclusive. Is what
I
they
see it being $200, no problem. I don't think people will not buy it because it's $200. Now, if Super 7 did O-ring 4-pack of these, that would be $100, and I think that would sell 100 times the amount of quantities and would be way more popular with Joe collectors. That's just my
Yeah.
opinion.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I-
think
well,
more
I- I'll-
people
I
buy
will.
this
I will tell you this
an
as
O-ring.
a as a Joe collector, having all the originals, and then buying all the ones we so far did not get in the original line from Super 7. So I'm not buying Duke or Cobra Commander because I already have the originals, but I am buying the figures they never released back in the 80s that Super 7 is doing, including I will buy these figures from Super 7. And I'll tell you this, because they are as a Super 7 O-ring figure, I will not be upset if I don't get the 6-inch one. I'm going to
Right.
try for it when they go on sale. I'm not going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, so I have to hope I can get into the website and get one. But if I get in and I don't end up getting one because it sells out in 3 seconds, I'm not going to be upset because I can get the O-ring ones, which I would much rather have.
And that's your heart. Your heart's with the 375 Joes,
With the
but you
375
still
O-ring,
love
correct.
6-inch Joes, and you still collect
Classified.
6. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Now,
I
have they
understand.
has Hasbro sort of publicly said whether these will physically be available or whether this will be the sort of like
I think they're going to be physically
pre-order
available
code
because
thing?
last year was the first year they actually had their convention.
They got back to
exclusive
having
on
them in?
site.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to be back to that.
I hope so.
Gotcha.
I think
Not that
most
I'm
of
gonna
the
be there, but-
companies know now that if they're going to make a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, to have it at the convention. It keeps with that, like you and Vern were saying, the exclusivity of
Mhm.
the brand and of the actual item. If it's just a pre-order, then what? How do you block out an IP address that's not at the convention floor? Like
You
they
don't. That's how
tried
I got
that
the
in the
last
past.
two before that.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
tried that in the past with QR codes and
Yeah, you just
Exactly.
email the QR code to your buddy and
Exactly.
Yeah.
it keeps the collector sphere, whatever word you want to use, going. Like if it's going to be
Keeps them
exclusive,
angry.
like Vern was saying, keep it to that. Like keep it exclusive. Like we know people do exclusives throughout the Hasbro, as an example. This is exclusive for
Yeah.
conventions throughout the year. We're going to be at these
Mhm.
3 or 4 conventions this year, and you can get your Pimp Destro or whatever it is. And then a week later, it's
Whoa. Profit Director Destro.
But then, like a day later, like it's in stock in GameStop Canada. I'm like,
They can't give those away. They've probably still got stock of those things.
Yeah.
and did they make
All
it to all these in the States, Vern?
I don't know.
These I don't know, but
Some Hasbro exclusives did. I think.
last year I did not win the lottery to get in the Hasbro line. So I almost wasn't going to be able to pick up any of the exclusives, but then I guess nobody was really buying them. So they were just opening the booth up to
It was open sale at the end of like Sunday afternoon. It was people
What
were
was it
walking
last
out
year?
with cases and stuff.
Serpentor and something else?
It was
Cobra with a snake head?
Death wasn't Death's Head?
Death's and John.
Yeah,
here's your book.
my Death's Head
Here's-
that you still have.
Here it is.
Darth
Oh,
Maul
that's
with
the
the
Marvel Legend, though, right?
and a Darth
Yeah.
Maul in the Power of the Force packaging.
And then GI Joe was that the snake.
And all of
Once
those
a
are
man.
in stock at my
Yeah.
GameStop. All of them.
Yeah.
I still
doesn't
want
make
just the little
exclusive.
snake guy from the Cobra Commander. I
That's
don't want
what
the Cobra
everybody would
Commander.
want.
I
Nobody's
just
gonna
want the
give
little
that up.
snake guy.
Yeah. That was actually sculpted by
Once
my
a
buddy
man,
Ross.
that's what it was.
Adam, I was trying to find someone who would buy the set, keep all the other parts, and just give me the
Just give
little
you
snake
the
guy.
snake. Yeah.
Pay half the set just to get that little snake guy, but nobody went for it. I
They
couldn't
could just
get it.
release that as a standard figure. Do a
Yeah.
retro carded just the snake.
Just the snake.
And sell it for the normal price. They probably
that's
still
all I
sell
want.
tons of
They
Is
those.
should
that
just
little
sell the
snake guy.
snake wrapped around Roadblock.
There you go. There you go.
That's a
Oh,
good
there
call
you go.
too.
They could. Did you see Battle Cat Man, Vern?
I did. These are the 3 I saw.
Oh, there's like a figure that's Battle Cat,
Yeah.
but as a
That was
man.
revealed a while back, though.
So 2 of these are wave 2. Chitara is wave 1, which includes Chitara, Lion-O, Mumra / Skeletor, and then Lion-O. And then Tigra and Panthro are Wave 2.
Now, wait, are these like a crossover?
Yeah.
I mean,
These are like the Turtles of Grayskull type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
Huh.
these are 7-inch, not Origin scale, right?
I think these are
Uh,
the same scale as.
I think these are
Turtles of
Origin
Grayskull.
scale, but they're using the cartoon collection box.
Are
Okay.
you going to
It's sort of the
collect these?
consent.
I like the Battle Cat, man.
I'm
It was-
definitely in on these. I
Yeah,
love
same here.
Thundercats,
Yeah.
and if you can give me an Origin style one
yeah,
for,
I
for
love.
$25 that my kids can play with, and I don't have to worry about my Super
I'm gonna
7
have to
Ultimates
see
getting
these.
busted.
Where do you
Yes.
find these in Canada, Adam? Any
Uh,
Mighty Origins?
You just order. I just order them online. I've
Okay,
never
'cause they're
seen.
not carried at Walmart or Toys R Us or GameStop.
I'm in Kelowna. I order everything online. I don't wait. That's the other thing. Like, collectors that have Ollies and collectors that have Five Below and like all these other like US retailers that people are like, I'll just wait till it shows up. We don't have that luxury. So when people are like, you paid full price for that, I'm like, I either pay full price and pre-order it day one, or I wait 6 months and kick
And pay
myself because
extra.
it goes out of stock, or it gets discounted and then I got to pay extra shipping from some small retailer
Right.
once it's discounted. You can't win. Like Canadian collectors, there's no Canadian collectors, international collectors. There's no way around it. You're paying. It is much more expensive to collect outside of the United States.
Interesting. Look at that. Was that Toonie
These are-
Terrace?
these are
Like Dino's
terrifier-
family trick or
terrifier.
treating.
Yeah.
Neck
Toonie
ants.
Terrace.
No thanks.
Yeah.
I don't want.
Yeah.
I don't need these in my house. I wouldn't want to look at them.
I think I might have to get the Art the Clown and Santa suit.
The Santa suit looks awesome, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, ugh.
Yeah.
I like the
Dean-
fake
Dean,
Give
hair
me
and
the
beard.
chills.
They did have a new. I saw a picture of one of the new Ben Cooper's, but I didn't grab the picture.
Oh, really?
The
Yeah,
jaw.
yeah,
I
that's
think
another.
I just
another
pre-ordered
reason.
this
This is cool.
This
Yeah,
is
right
the,
before
rad.
I
the game.
came on. I pre-ordered this from Big Bad Toy
Do you
Store.
do you now? Wait, you have the shark game, right, Dino?
Yeah, I have it right behind
Yeah,
me.
but
I have two versions.
I had
By
the,
Ideal.
I had the version that was a giant alligator. So when you
Oh yeah.
use the fishing pole thing to pull things out of their mouth, and if you didn't do it right, it would roll forward and snap shut on you. And
Yeah,
then
it's the
you
same
lost your
concept,
shit.
This
So
is-
the
this
best
is
thing
so
about
cool.
this is on the box. If you can't, I don't know if you can zoom in, but that NECA logo in the bottom right-hand corner, it's made to look like the old Ideal
Ideal.
logo from 1971. And that to me,
Cool.
that's the coolest thing about this whole. I know it's a cool shark and it's Jaws, but I mean, I just love the fact that they redid that Ideal logo.
The box and the packaging.
Yeah,
if you
man,
look at
like,
if you look at the box
I'm a
too.
package guy. Like,
Mhm.
if this was just a brown box, what is it? It's garbage. But because they're able to go retro and go all out, I think it's a cat's ass, man.
And it's got
Yeah.
the drawing. On
I
the
think
side.
I was gonna say the drawing. If you
Yeah.
look on the picture there, the back of the box looks like the old GI Joe
The
box.
same drawing, yeah.
Oh,
one
yeah.
color, just
Yeah.
one color printed on cardboard, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's how the original Jaws Ideal game
Mhm.
looks.
Wow.
No,
So how much was this? Do you know? Like 99
Yeah,
bucks?
please tell
No,
us.
it was $65.
Wow, that's
So
not
that's
bad,
half
actually.
the price of the Reaction Jaws, at least, right? Doesn't that Reaction Jaws sell for like 400 bucks?
Yeah, well, I don't know about 400, but the Reaction Jaws
Oh,
is pretty
that's-
expensive. I have that one also. I'm a
This-
big Jaws fan, but what
this
I
is
love
cool.
about this is all the parts are just like the original.
Yeah.
This is a spare
More detail.
tire.
Well,
a license
is there
plate.
even a skull of the old of the guy?
Yeah, there's a skull on it and everything.
They
The only thing,
couldn't
the,
actually make the scuba diver to stick in there, but so they just made
Yeah.
his skull.
yeah, the only part I believe is the tank that's not from the original game.
Oh, so I
Yeah.
thought these are just they're the exact same parts from the old Ideal game.
No, they're updated, obviously. Because
Maybe the
right-
tank is the stand-in for the scuba diver.
But I mean, like that
Yeah,
leg
there you go.
bone. I remember there was a there was a leg bone in the old Ideal game. There was a tire, right?
Yeah,
Was there a ship's wheel and a license plate too?
Yes,
Like I think
yeah.
that's just awesome.
no license plate.
Okay, okay.
Oh, I
Be
didn't
hard
even
to
know
pick
it
up.
came with a license plate. Yeah, look at that.
So
I bet
so
that
gotta-
license plate is from the movie too. I bet somebody's
Yeah.
vehicle had
Yeah.
that license plate.
Oh, probably.
Now, is this shark in scale with the NECA Jaws figures that they've done?
It
Yeah, I'm
works.
wondering if we could make it eat
That's
some of the
interesting.
figures.
Well,
Yeah.
if you look at the kid's hand, the person holding the on the packaging, it's possible that it is scaled with
It looks
the
about 11, 12
Kind of.
inches.
figures.
So if you got that Quint figure, does he separate at the waist, and you could stick him in the mouth?
No, not
If
the.
you drop them,
Well, I have the
he'll
cloth
separate real
version.
quick.
They did release, or they showed the non-cloth version figures that are coming out, and I think they're like an inch shorter.
Smaller.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see someone post a picture of a dude inside this shark's mouth,
Okay.
but I don't know if it was half a figure or they just.
Maybe it was
Just
one of those Ben
just a
Cooper
feet.
figures.
I really would not want to be eaten by a shark.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Anybody would, John.
Even if
I
it's
can
only
imagine one
11
person
inches.
would.
Just
All
doesn't seem like the way to
Fantasy. I
go.
have a fantasy about being eaten by a shark.
Yes.
This is awesome too, eh, John?
This is great. I love this.
Yes, I think these O-ring figures by Super 7 are going to be really cool, especially
This
next
is
year when
like
they find them
riding
at
a
Ross on
Bronco.
discount prices.
This is like riding a Bronco with a cactus saddle.
Now, what was even better than the Joe O-rings? Did you see the Back to the Future and Universal Monster O-rings by Super?
Want to know? Why don't we just go through the slideshow and see if we get there?
Why are we up to that?
Well, because you usually forget
Oh, look at
everything.
that.
I'm all
Now,
in
here's
for
the thing:
these.
these look really cool, but they don't look like any of the characters from the
No,
movie.
they
So-
don't.
No,
but
but-
they still.
But I don't.
That's-
I mean, are they supposed to? Because like
Yeah.
you look at the reaction line before it was the
Mhm.
reaction plus line, and that was sort of like that was Super 7. That was their thing. Where like we're
It's
not trying to
basically-
make them,
Yeah.
entirely accurate. We're trying to make a toy line that allows you to have different IPs in a similar form function.
It's
Yeah.
almost the same sculpt as the 5POA one. It's pretty close.
Oh yeah, it will be because I mean they probably just converted it. To be honest, you probably took the
Does-
STL file
Yeah.
and put articulation in it, and it's a cheap way to do it.
Does this
I
mean
love
we
the
might get a
articulation.
DeLorean?
Probably
We
that
could.
would be super cool if they did.
Because I
No,
have a
it's-
1/18
Be great if
DeLorean
we
by
fit in
Diamond.
this one.
I was gonna say there
Playmobil
are DeLoreans kind of in this scale already, so maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll just allow you to kind of use what you've already got.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Would you think that would fit a
Didn't-
3.75 or is that
Playmobil
bigger?
that had
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
you could
DeLorean?
put a
That would
you could put a
probably work.
reaction figure in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cut off his feet though.
No, that's a different vehicle where you got to take their feet off.
Yeah,
Well, Playmobiles don't have leg room, but they're the same scale.
that's not Playmobil.
Oh, that wasn't
Oh
Playmobil?
wow!
These
are
look
cool,
amazing.
too. Yeah. Oh, and I hope they make a glow in the dark version of the creature. That would be great.
Oh, they're
Right,
gonna go all
creature
in.
creature is my favorite universal
Me too.
monster,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
hands down.
Yeah.
I'm all in on. I have
Me
not bought a
too.
Regal
I'd be all
Plus
in on
figure
these.
yet, but
Yep.
these I will definitely pick up.
And
Yeah,
they're
me
sticking
too.
at $20. I think originally when they launched the O-rings, they said 25, but they backed off and they're sticking with $20. So that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's
Which is
that's really
30
good.
Canadian, but I mean,
Yeah. They've made some smart moves. Like, as much as people, you hear people kind of complain about Super 7 and like, oh, they're doing too much and they got this wrong and their pricing is wrong and everything they do is wrong, bump that down. But for $20, pretty much original sculpts, like even if they do a glow in the dark on the creature, like that's 2 uses for
That's
this
worthwhile.
this
Yeah.
mold. Like $20 is
and
super
make a black
reasonable.
and white version of all of them.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, you could get a few
They could do
uses
that
out of it.
too.
NECA
Yeah,
does that,
yeah.
right? They get away with it.
I guess with Wolfman, you could probably use a lot of those parts for something else. Dracula, again, I don't know what else you'd do with that Dracula mold besides more Dracula decos.
Yeah, Amigo had some new boxes. They're showing
Yeah, I
up.
kind of messed this up because
Is
the,
that
the
what's going on?
Batman's underneath the Hawkman. They had that Batman 89, so kind of messed that up. But
And there's also Jason, Friday the 13th. They're getting back into the horror game.
Mm.
Who, Migo?
Migo. I thought Dino would like those.
yeah,
Yeah, I haven't seen any of
Migo,
those.
Migo Jason.
yeah. Anyways, we went over 2 hours going
Yeah.
through those. Weren't a whole lot.
What-
Adam, we
What
want to
about
say
pickup?
no,
Come
we're
on.
going to do
No.
that this week. Adam, thanks for coming on and talking about your Kickstarter. We wish you a lot of luck with that. Let me just check.
He's gonna
Yeah,
show it anyways.
Everybody who went, it was Well, yeah, now there's like a whole bunch more.
I definitely appreciate being on here. Thank you guys for reaching out. Thank you for having me, because as I said, you know, it's stuff like this that's going to make it happen, right? It's the toy collectors that are going to make it happen. So it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're all for it, Adam, man. Good luck with everything.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah, I think it looks fantastic, and I really hope it backs, because otherwise, I'm not going to be getting any zombies.
I know. Me neither. That's like, I don't get them if we don't make
Well,
it.
you can keep those prototypes.
Right.
That's
All right. Anyways, thanks everybody in the chat for sticking with us and hanging out on a Saturday afternoon, and we'll see you guys next time on the Toy Duo team.
108. 108.
Thank you,
108.
everybody.
You have a plastic addiction and your shelves are overflowing. Well, when you don't know what new is coming, but you fear you might miss out, just sit right back, just relax and watch and listen. The Toy Duo team brings you what you need. The toy news you didn't know you needed. Toy News, he does it all for you. Action figures, TV news, all the pop culture you can